Chapter 1955. Kamiko Hoshino, in addition to strength, has a tenacious Tao heart, outstanding talent, and comprehension of the heavenly Tao. Plus an 8 plus and 8 plus, and reading plus in books. Oh, the fact that you were able to pass the previous 3 tests is enough to prove your strength. The upcoming ranking competition is precisely to test your Tao heart, natural talent, and comprehension of the heaven Tao. The so-called Mist Tao is comprehending the Tao. Lord Zhu Yanjun from the Star Field will use a supreme ability to create the 1,000 Illusions Mist Domain to test you. Zhu Yanjun, the Realm Master of the Greater Realm, was actually preparing to personally create the so-called 1,000 Illusions Mist Realm to test the star below God's Sun. Although the geniuses didn't know what the 1,000 Illusions Mist Domain and the Mist Tao were, they were all eager to try. If they performed well this time, it would be the same as walking into the eyes of Zhu Yanjun, an expert of the star field. Their future achievements would no longer be limited to the star below God realm. Zhu Yanjun immediately formed a hand seal. As the hand seals changed, an ethereal and illusory aura of the great Tao lingered, intoxicating all the geniuses. The cloud Tao condensed the mist into a myriad of great Taos. 1,000 Illusions Mist Domain form. Zhu Yanjun suddenly formed a hand seal. In an instant, thick mist immediately floated in the air, covering the Godchild tablet and the space between the trial peak and the Godchild tablet. 1,000 Illusions Mist Domain. It seemed to be an extremely ordinary cloud, yet as it roiled, boundless changes of the grand Tao were contained within it, and it was mysterious and unfathomable. Luo, do you know what kind of great Tao divine ability Zhu Yanjun is using? Su Fang was shocked and asked Luo secretly. A type of water great Tao, the cloud Tao. This great Tao is very strange and unpredictable. It's known for its ability to create illusions and maze formations, and it's very rare. Zhu Yanjun is able to cultivate the cloud Tao to this level and create a mist that simulates and changes the great Tao. This person is extraordinary and can be considered a true expert in the universe. Law also exclaimed in admiration, admiring Zhu Yanjun's supreme divine ability. At this time, Zhu Yanjun said, cultivators and cultivators are like groping their way forward in the fog. Tao, heart, talent, and fortune are all indispensable. I created the 1,000 Illusions Mist realm with my supreme power so that you can find your own path of cultivation in this mist. From the peak of the trial mountain to the deity's tablet, searching for the path of mist is actually the process of you exploring the great Tao. You can comprehend your own great Tao from the transformations of my divine ability and obtain supreme benefits from it. Therefore, this is not only a test for you, but also a stroke of good fortune. I hope you can cherish it. Within 100 years, you will have 3 chances to walk this path of mist. Remember, if your Tao heart is not firm enough, your cultivation level is not high enough, and you're unable to find your own path of mist Tao, you will be lost in the 1,000 Illusions Mist Domain. If you lose all 3 chances, you will lose the chance to be ranked. Zhu Yanjun's words lifted the spirits of all the geniuses, and their eyes lit up as they looked at the mist. Cultivators and cultivators were constantly climbing the peak, overcoming all kinds of difficulties and dangers, and finally reaching the supreme peak. However, for cultivators, the most dangerous thing was not enemies and dangers, but not being able to see the path of cultivation clearly. On the path of cultivation, the slightest mistake could lead to 1,000 miles of deviation. The slightest mistake could lead to a stagnant progress, or a serious mistake could lead to falling off a cliff and being smashed to pieces. The final ranking battle of the Kamiko Hoshino competition was actually so strange. Although it did not seem dangerous, for many geniuses, it was more challenging than a bloody battle. If they could use Zhu Yanjun's supreme divine ability to see the direction of their cultivation and find their own path of cultivation, it would definitely be a great fortune for these geniuses. Bai Holan suddenly asked, Lord, Heavenly Lord, there are thousands of great Taos. How do you determine which is the highest and which is the lowest? And thus determine ranking. For cultivators and cultivators, there are indeed many great Taoists. However, those who can truly step onto the supreme peak of the great Taoists are few and far between. Only those who can condense a mist path to the Shensi tablet in the thousand illusions mist domain created by me and leave a primordial spirit imprint on the Shensi tablet have completed the test. In the end, the height of the imprint on the Shensi tablet and the speed at which you reach the Shensi tablet will determine your results and thus your ranking. Zhu Yanjun explained tirelessly. Only then is it fair. Thank you for your explanation, Lord Heavenly Lord. Bai Holan cupped his fists at Zhu Yanjun. Then, he looked at Su Fong and smiled faintly. This way, we won't have to worry about anyone cheating. This time, someone's going to reveal his true colors. He's only in the heavenly god realm and has just touched the threshold of the great Taos. How far can he go in the thousand illusions mist domain? It'll be a miracle if he can reach the Shensi tablet. It's impossible for him to surpass us like he did in the previous 3 tests. There was a burst of whispers on the mountain peak. Many geniuses mocked and ridiculed Su Fong, venting their dissatisfaction and jealousy towards Su Fong. In the space of the stands, the finals of the Shensi battle had been going on for nearly 50 years, and no one had left in the middle. Those who could enter the space of the stands were all-powerful gods. 50 years to them was about the same as 5 days for mortals. No one wanted to miss such a grand event, so they naturally had the patience to do so. Now that the 100 divine sons of Star Below Star had been determined, no one would miss out on the upcoming ranking battle. Numerous attentive gazes fell on the peak of the trial peak. However, when the Star Below Realm Lord and Zhu Yanjun announced the rules, everyone was curious, but there were also many who were disappointed. Why was that? In the previous 3 tests, Su Fong stood out. He was the first to pass the 3 tests in a row. Everyone was initially shocked and doubtful, but now they were full of anticipation. Especially Kuan Su's divine sect, as well as some experts from various forces who hurried over. All of them hoped to see Su Fong create a miracle. The rules of the Kamiko Hoshino ranking battle suddenly changed. It was no longer a competition of strength between the Shinsi, but a test of talent, Tao heart, and the ability to comprehend the great Taos. Such a method of competition was naturally very disadvantageous for heavenly god realm gods. Heavenly god realm gods had just touched the edge of the great Taos. Their mastery of nature and comprehension of the great Taos were far inferior to divine emperor realm gods. Among the 100 Kamiko Hoshino, there were many heavenly god realm gods, and Su Fong's 8th heaven god realm was at the bottom. In the previous 3 tests, facing the demon race, and resurrected experts, Su Fong could win first place with his divine artifact and supreme divine ability. In the ranking battle, divine artifact and divine ability were useless. It was hard to say whether Uebwa Hoshino could make it to the Shinsi monument and leave his primordial spirit mark, let alone create a miracle. It's a wasted trip. Let's go. Some of the experts who had come specifically for Su Fong got up and left one after another. Xian Lingzi, Kuan Su, and other senior members of Kuan Su's divine sect were more or less disappointed. However, Su Fong could become Kamiko Hoshino. Even if he was ranked 100, they would not be too disappointed. The 100 geniuses sat down cross-legged on the trial peak. Each of them stared intently at the heavy clouds in front of them. From the changing great Taos, they kept exploring and deducing to find a path to the Shinsi monument. This path was the path of Fog Tao, and at the same time, it was the direction of their cultivation in the future. Through the appearance of the clouds, one could see traces of heavenly Tao aura flowing and evolving into great Taos. Although it was an illusion created by a supreme divine power and not the real great path, it was not easy for a divine emperor realm deity to see through the layers of fog and find a path. However, once these geniuses could comprehend it, the benefits to them were self-evident. 6 hours later, a peak 9th heaven god realm genius suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. He had used up too much of his heart energy and fainted on the spot. Puff, puff, puff. Another two geniuses spat out blood on the spot. Their auras became weak. The other geniuses did not dare to be careless. They all closed their eyes to recover and comprehend what they had gained from the Thousand Illusions fog domain. Like the other geniuses, Su Fong sat cross-legged on the ground and stared intently at the changing clouds. But unlike the other geniuses, when Su Fong executed the heaven-prying eye, the yin and yang vortex formed from the heaven-flow profundity scripture in his mind was ceaselessly revolving, and it emitted waves of void divine might that deduced the heaven Tao. Traces of the clouds were peeled off by Su Fong like silk being peeled off from a cocoon. After a series of deductions, he gained more insights in his heart at the same time. Finally, it turned into a comprehension of the great Taos. Soon, Su Fong's eyes were bloodshot. His eyes were so red that it looked like blood was about to drip out. His body was also full of exhaustion. Although the power of his primordial spirit was strong enough, and at the same time, he had the supreme ability to communicate with the purple Chi Dharma spirit and control heaven and earth. However, using the heavenly mystery scripture was a great test for his primordial spirit and Tao heart. Time after time, not only did it consume his heart energy, but it also consumed Su Fong's fortune. The heavenly Tao was unfathomable. Prying into the heavenly Tao would result in a backlash from the heavenly Tao and a loss of fortune. 9 true, 9 sons, fortunately. The purple Chi Dharma spirit brought him supreme fortune. The loss of fortune from using the heavenly mystery scripture was still within an acceptable range. A day later, Su Fong had to stop and use the immortal soul code to cultivate his primordial spirit to recover the huge consumption. The other geniuses had to close their eyes and cultivate for at least 4 to 6 hours. Otherwise, they would exceed their limits. In this way, the 100 geniuses all settled in their comprehension of the great Taos. About 3 months later, suddenly, chapter 1956. This is the great Tao of Earth. It turned out that Su Fong had clearly found a direct path to the Divine Child Tablet from the Thousand Illusions fog mirror created by Zhu Yanjun's remarkable power. 8. Read. Book 2. 3. This meant that he had removed the layers of fog and found the cultivation direction of the great Tao of Earth. His understanding of the great Tao of Earth had also reached a new height. However, to truly master the great Tao of Earth, he still needed to go through the process of proving his Tao. No, the great Tao of Earth is not the path of cultivation that I want to take. Then Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed again. After pondering for a while, he began to deduce again. At this moment, buzz, the destiny runes of the life shrinking technique and the true runes of the heavenly mystery solution suddenly flashed rapidly, indicating that a great danger was about to befall. Su Fong's divine light changed instantly, and he leaped up from the ground. Crack! A faint golden lightning flashed out of the void, carrying the aura of a heavenly tribulation. It brushed past Su Fong's head and landed on the mountain peak with a loud explosion. It turned out that Su Fong had used the heavenly mystery solution to deduce the heavenly Tao and finally suffered a strong backlash from the heavenly Tao, attracting the power of a lightning punishment. Fortunately, Su Fong had the supreme luck brought by the purple cloud Dharma spirit and was protected by the heavenly Tao. Therefore, the lightning punishment that descended was not very powerful. It was more of a warning than a punishment from the heavenly Tao. In addition, Su Fong had predicted the danger and dodged in advance. The lightning punishment only burned a strand of his hair, but he was also quite frightened at the same time. However, the sound of the lightning striking the mountain peak was incomparably shocking. Coupled with the fact that all the geniuses were in a state of full concentration to comprehend the grand Tao, this thunderclap was like a thunderclap that shook the heavens when it entered their ears, and it alarmed everyone. Not only did their eardrums almost burst from the thunderclap, even their minds were greatly shocked. Puff, puff, puff. Most people were caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of blood. Bai Holan, Song Jia, and the others were no exception. Their cultivations were extremely high, and their natural talent was extremely extraordinary. Thus, their state of comprehension of the Grand Tao was even deeper. Bai Holan and the others almost had their Tao hearts crumble when they were frightened by the thunderous roar. The amount of blood they spat out was much more than the others. What happened? Why is there a lightning tribulation? Could it be that someone's breakthrough attracted a primal chaos deity tribulation? If I find out who made such a big commotion, I swear to kill them. Before anyone could react, Su Fong had already sat down cross-legged. No one knew that he was the culprit. They were all shocked and furious, but they had nowhere to vent their anger. After waiting for less than half a day, there were no more unusual occurrences. Only then did everyone feel at ease, and they once again settled into the state of comprehending the Grand Tao. Su Fong also sat down cross-legged again. This time, he was much more careful. He slowly activated his heaven-prying eye. When he saw that there was no lightning punishment, he began to deduce again. The scene on the mountain peak couldn't escape the eyes of Zhu Yanjun, Qi Shao Shinjun, and the others. What is Mo Fenghua doing? He actually attracted a lightning tribulation? The Star Billow Realm Lord was shocked and astonished. Zhu Yanjun's power of perception swept over Su Fong's body. Sensing the mysterious aura of deduction on Su Fong's body, Zhu Yanjun said in a deep voice, "He is using a supreme divine ability to deduce this Lord's divine ability, peeking at the heavenly Tao. Because he peeked at the secrets of heaven, he attracted the heavenly tribulation." The Star Billow Realm Lord and Qi Shao Shanjun were both shocked. To be able to deduce the heavenly Tao, what kind of supreme divine ability was this? When they thought of Su Fong's various extraordinary performances, including Zhu Yanjun's, the more they looked at Su Fong, the more mysterious he was. How can Mo Fenghua be so despicable? He has no hope of success, so he purposely attracted lightning to disturb others. Such behavior is simply shameless, too shameless. The billions of people in the stands were constantly watching the mountain peak. Naturally, the scene of Su Fong attracting a lightning tribulation couldn't escape their eyes. However, the crowd couldn't see through it. They thought that Su Fong was purposely causing a big commotion to disturb other geniuses. As a result, the crowd's impression of Su Fong immediately fell. There were also many people who cursed Su Fong for being despicable and shameless. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, nearly half a year had passed. I understand now. Wild laughter suddenly came from the mountain peak. It was the Star Billow Realm's genius, Zhou Kuanga. I have already seen through the great Tao that I cultivate. The title of the #1 godchild of the Star Billow Realm belongs to me, Zhou Kuanga. Zhou Kuanga proudly stood up under the shocked and envious gazes. Then, he stepped into the air and entered the heavy mist. Zhou Kuanga's body emitted a wild and domineering aura of the great Tao. As the mist rolled, a path quickly formed under his feet. However, after walking for more than 100 feet, Zhou Kuanga was surrounded by layers of mist. Clearly, he didn't understand enough to advance to the Divine Child Tablet. Arrogant and overconfident. "Why aren't you going back?" shouted Zhu Yanjun coldly. The clouds rolled and rolled, and Zhou Kuanga was sucked back to the peak of the mountain. Zhou Kuanga made a fool of himself in front of everyone. He couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. The mountain peak returned to calm. The great Tao of fire isn't my path of cultivation either. Su Fong frowned and thought hard. He repeatedly deduced. I used the heavenly divination solution to deduce that whether it's the earth Tao or the fire Tao, it's not difficult to find a path through the mist to reach the Divine Child Tablet. However, whether it's the earth Tao or the fire Tao, neither is the path of cultivation I want to take. I cultivated the 9 changes of the 9 suns and formed the heaven and earth Tao palace. My body formed a universe of its own. At the same time, I also have the chaotic divine personality. Therefore, the path of cultivation I want to take is the supreme heavenly Tao. No matter how powerful Zhu Yanjun's divine powers are, she can't create the supreme heavenly Tao with her divine powers of the path of mist. No matter how many paths there are in the mist, none of them belong to me. I can only open up a path that belongs to Su Fong. Su Fang's eyes were filled with understanding. At the same time, his heart was clear. He didn't search in the mist anymore. Instead, he activated the chaotic divine personality's ability to communicate with the chaos and encompass thousands of great Taos. At the same time, he also used the heavenly divination solution to encompass the entire mist in his heart and open up a path that wasn't in the mist. Who would have thought that this would lead to even more trouble? Crack! A faint golden lightning as thick as an arm descended from the void with a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It was more than 10 times stronger than the lightning punishment from before. When the power of the thunder punishment appeared, Su Fang received a warning from the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique and the Heaven's mystery unravel. The moment the power of the thunder punishment enveloped him, his body instantly moved away. Rumble! The lightning violently struck the peak of the mountain, causing a huge tremor. A few geniuses that were 30 meters away were sent flying by the aftershocks of the explosion. Lightning flickered all over their bodies, causing them to tremble. Although they weren't seriously injured, they still lost a layer of skin. The other geniuses were also sent flying a foot off the ground. PFFF. PFFF. The geniuses who were disturbed all vomited blood at the same time. They were all terrified and furious. Mo Fenghua. It's Mo Fenghua's doing. Su Fang wasn't as lucky as last time. Unfortunately, he was discovered by a few geniuses and exposed on the spot. This bastard must have done it on purpose. Kill him. Everyone has the right to kill such a despicable person. Everyone, including Bai Holan, was burning with rage as they let out a deafening roar. I didn't do it on purpose. I definitely didn't do it on purpose. Su Fang didn't feel wronged and hurriedly explained. However, how could the geniuses give him a chance to explain? Despicable and shameless Mo Fenghua die. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The geniuses surrounded Su Fang. Their gazes alone could kill. In the next moment, they were about to explode with rage and burn Su Fang alive. Enough. Zhu Yanjun's dignified voice sounded. Mo Fenghua didn't do it on purpose. Everyone return to your original positions. If anyone dares to move, Kimiko Hoshino's identity will be revoked. Who dare to disobey Zhu Yanjun's decree? Although the geniuses hated Su Fang to the core, they had no choice but to return to their original positions. After the previous 2 lessons, the geniuses were all on tenterhooks and didn't have the heart to comprehend anything. If Su Fang did it a few more times, even if they weren't scared to death, they would go crazy. Bai Holan was filled with hatred towards Zhu Yanjun. I, Bai Holan, am one of the 10 great young masters of the star field. What is that, Mo Fenghua? Zhu Yanjun actually protected him. Mo Fenghua's first place in the 3 stages must have been because of Zhu Yanjun's help. I will use this mist path to prove that I, Bai Holan, am the #1 genius of the Star Below God Realm. I will definitely have a place among the godchildren of the star field. Song Jie, on the other hand, looked at Su Fang with a cold gaze from time to time, like a bloodthirsty, ferocious beast eyeing its prey. Zhou Kuanga, piercing metal, and the other geniuses all looked at Su Fang with unkind eyes. Su Fang felt wronged. I really didn't do it on purpose. Why are they treating me like this? That brat Mo Fenghua is simply a disaster. The Star Below Realm Master didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then, the Star Below Realm Master created a protective formation that completely isolated the geniuses from Su Fang. Now, even if the trial peak collapsed, these geniuses wouldn't be affected. Unknowingly, another 50 years passed. Along the way, many geniuses left the peak of the trial mountain and entered the clouds. However, the great Tao was vast and boundless. How difficult was it to find a path that led directly to the destination? After entering the clouds and condensing the mist path, the furthest one walked was less than 30 meters, and the closest one was only 50 or 60 meters. In the end, one would fall into the heavy clouds and be blocked by the mist. If Zhu Yanjun hadn't sent the failed geniuses back to the peak in time, these people would have been lost in a mist and lost their cultivation path. In these 50 years, Su Fong had also been immersed in his deduction. Chapter 1957. Another 30 years passed. Other than Su Fong, Bai Holan, and Song Jie, everyone else tried. Some of them even tried twice, but both times ended in failure. However, there were also people who managed to create a path of mist within the Thousand Illusions mist domain. They were only a few meters away from the Divine Child Monument and had almost reached the end. As for how high they could reach, that would depend on their understanding of the Great Tao. On this day, Bai Holan suddenly stood up and walked out of the protective formation with a confident smile on his face. Almost at the same time, Song Jie suddenly laughed and stood up from the ground. He strode out of the formation. Everyone was startled. Bai Holan and Song Jie are going to enter the Thousand Illusions mist domain at the same time. Which of these two peerless geniuses can reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument? Everyone stopped trying to comprehend and walked out of the formation. Song Jie looked at Bai Holan with eyes full of challenge and said, "Bai Holan, it looks like you're sure to win this time. Creating a path of mist to the Divine Child Monument in the Thousand Illusions mist domain is a piece of cake for me. I just wanted to find a path of mist to reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument. So it took me some time." Bai Holan spoke indifferently, and his casual tone carried a strand of supreme arrogance and lofty, domineering aura. "You think you can reach the highest point of the Divine Child Monument? And I, Song Jie, think so too. Why don't we have a competition? The winner will be the #1 divine child of the Star Billow God Realm. How about that? I'm afraid the result will disappoint you and even hurt your Tao heart." Bai Holan smiled faintly and was about to walk toward the Thousand Illusions mist domain. Right at this moment, the aura of a heavenly tribulation suddenly appeared, followed by a flash of lightning. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bowl landed on the mountain peak with a loud bang. Su Fong's body suddenly flashed with a golden rainbow and disappeared for where the lightning flashed. Sky-shaking thunder rumbled as a terrifying lightning divine aura swept out in all directions, sending the geniuses flying. Some of the geniuses who were closer to the lightning had their bodies shattered by the violent lightning energy, and they had almost died. Bai Holan and Song Jie, who were just about to move, staggered under such a sudden impact. "Mo Fenghua, it's you again." After a short period of silence, the peak of the training peak was instantly filled with a monstrous killing intent as furious roars sounded out one after another. Whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another flew towards Su Fong with an explosive aura. "I didn't do it on purpose. I really didn't do it on purpose." "Who told you to walk out of the formation without permission? Stop. Don't think that I, Mo Fenghua, am easy to bully." Su Fongda shouted loudly to defend himself, but who would listen to his explanation? Su Fong had no choice but to take out the Xinming Thunder Archive and activate the Earthshaker boots and the Winged Divine Weapon. Suddenly, Su Fong's divine light changed in an instant. The Winged Divine artifact was waving rapidly behind him. His body shot out like an arrow. The expressions of the numerous geniuses charging towards Su Fong changed drastically as they all retreated hastily. The speed at which they retreated was several times faster than the speed at which they had charged. Another bolt of lightning flashed, and a bolt of lightning as thick as an arm struck the spot where Su Fong had disappeared. The numerous geniuses all revealed expressions of terror and no longer dared to approach Su Fong. They all had the same thought in their hearts. "This person is dangerous. Don't approach him." The spectator stands were completely silent. "Why didn't you strike this bastard to death?" Ji Xingyue gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with disappointment. When Mo Fenghua dodged the lightning tribulation for the first time, that golden rainbow that appeared on his body, could it be the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle? Among the crowd, a pair of eyes stared fixedly at Su Fong. It was Jiang Baojin of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. He had seen some clues from the golden rainbow that flashed on Su Fong's body, and his heart was instantly filled with shock. In an inconspicuous corner of the spectator stands, a silver-robed elder from Sanskrit had been paying attention to Su Fong's every move since the beginning. Beside the silver-robed elder sat a middle-aged man. Although he was dressed as a follower, he had a bold and powerful face, sharp eyebrows, starry eyes, and a beard like steel needles. He was clearly not an ordinary person. Shinja Tianjun. For so many years, Shinja Tianjun had left an avatar in the turbid cloud divine realm to pursue Su Fang's whereabouts, but to no avail. Mo Fenghua's heaven-defying rise had finally attracted Shinja Tianjun's attention. This time, he had accompanied the silver-robed elder to the star-billow divine realm to investigate Su Fang's background. This child is indeed a little suspicious. Shinja Tianjun revealed a puzzled expression, but he didn't dare to be certain. The chaos on the mountain peak infuriated the star-billow realm master. After being tormented by Su Fang a few times, the originally serious godchild ranking battle had suddenly changed. If this happened a few more times, how could they continue? Although the star-billow realm master knew that this matter couldn't be blamed on Su Fang, he definitely wouldn't allow him to continue. He shouted in a deep voice, "Mo Fenghua, did you comprehend your way of mist from the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm? If you did, enter the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. As you command, Realm Master." Su Fang cupped his fists at the star-billow realm master from afar, then slowly flew out of the trial peak. Comprehending the way in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm can't help but be a little boring. With such a clown as a distraction, isn't it interesting? Bai Holan chuckled and dismissed the idea of entering the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. He looked at Su Fang with a mocking expression. Who knows, he might be able to surpass the two of us and reach the highest point of the Godchild Monument. Song Jie laughed strangely, a cruel and cold light flashing in his eyes. Piercing Metal shouted disdainfully, "If Mo Fenghua can walk 30 meters in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm, I, Piercing Metal, will find a piece of tofu and kill myself." On the mountain peak, a wave of ridicule and abuse sounded out. The Star-Billow Realm Master shook his head and smiled. Clearly, he didn't think that Su Fang could walk far in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. Qi Xiao Shunjun and Zhu Yanjun raised their spirits and stared at Su Fang without blinking. They hoped that they could see the depth of Su Fang's performance this time. Then I'll break through a unique path of mist in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. Su Fang laughed in a domineering manner. He stepped into the Thousand Illusions Fog Mirror with a heroic and domineering aura that showed no hesitation. These words that carried a lofty and domineering aura made the trial peak roar with laughter again. Zhu Yanjun also smiled slightly. "It's good to have ambition, but I'm afraid of biting off more than you can chew. In the end, you'll only be ridiculed." The mist in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm was created by Zhu Yanjun with a supreme divine ability. It simulated the heavenly Tao and contained countless great Taos. It was equivalent to a miniature illusion of the heavenly Tao, although it was only the appearance of some great Taos. Every wisp of mist contained the profound meaning of the laws. Only when one had a certain level of comprehension of a great Tao could they condense a path of mist from a mist. Su Fang took a step forward, and the mist around him surged and quickly condensed into a clump of yellow cloud under his feet. The great Tao of Earth? Zhu Yanjun could see that the great Tao contained in the mist that Su Fang summoned was the great Tao of Earth. The Star-Billow Realm Master said, "According to my investigation, Mo Fenghua's godhead is an Earth-rank, mid-rank Earth-rank godhead. It's not strange that he comprehended the great Tao of Earth from the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. Although an Earth-rank godhead is extraordinary, his future achievements will be limited to the Star-Billow Realm. The path of mist that he condenses will definitely not reach the level of the Divine Child Monument." Qi Xiao Shunjun said doubtfully, "I'm afraid it won't be that simple. Let's wait and see." After walking for more than 100 feet, the cloud under Su Fang's feet grew bigger and bigger. It meant that his comprehension of the great Tao of Earth had reached its limit. On the peak of the trial peak, sounds of ridicule and abuse swept out without the slightest restraint. In the spectator stands, everyone was very disappointed. Su Fang stopped and suddenly shouted, "This path does not belong to me. It's fine if I don't walk it. Zhu Yanjun said majestically. Your godhead is of the earth attribute. If you don't walk the great Tao of earth, what kind of path can you walk? Su Fong said domineeringly, Heavenly monarch, the thousand illusions mist realm you created, and the mist paths are all paths that have been walked by others. They do not belong to me, Mo Fenghua. It's fine if I don't walk it. I want to open a path of mist that belongs to me in the thousand illusions mist realm. Zhu Yanjun was stunned for a moment before she sneered. Arrogant. You overestimate yourself. Many geniuses shouted angrily. Cultivators do not follow the rules. Instead, they should be unrestrained. Even if the path ahead is full of thorns, they should move forward fearlessly. They should not be overcautious and follow the example of those who have come before them. Although the path of those who have come before them is smooth, fast, and not dangerous, they can only reach the height of those who have come before them. They can never reach the peak. Following the rules and sticking to the rules is inferior. Mediocrity will become nothing in the end. Peerless geniuses should be fearless of the dangers ahead. If they meet gods, they will kill gods. If they meet devils, they will kill devils. If they meet gods, they will kill gods. If they meet devils, they will slay devils. If they meet enemies, they will be able to reach the peak. Those who don't walk the normal path are geniuses. Those who follow the rules and follow the path of those who have come before are all mediocre. Su Fong's voice was filled with an unparalleled domineering aura and an unparalleled sense of heroism that arose spontaneously from him. As his voice rang out, Zhu Yanjun, Qi Shao Shenjun, and the Star Billow Realm Lord's divine light changed. Following the rules and regulations will become nothing in the end. After being shocked, the eyes of the three experts gradually revealed expressions of understanding. They had actually comprehended something from Su Fong's words. This is the true side of Senior. The three divine kings had heard similar words from Su Fong before. However, it was far from being as clear and thorough as this. They suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment in their hearts, and their admiration for Su Fong grew. The many geniuses at the peak of the trial peak were unable to understand anything from Su Fong's words because their realms were not high enough. They immediately burst into laughter. However, Bai Holan's body shook. Su Fong's words were like a sudden clap of thunder exploding in his head. He faintly felt that the comprehension he had gained from the thousand illusions mist domain just now was wrong. Song Jie's eyes burst with light. Soon after, he coldly shouted, Mo Fenghua, you're clearly trying to break my Tao heart. Who doesn't know how to boast? Walk out a mist path that belongs to you in the thousand illusions mist domain, and let me see. As you wish. Chapter 1958. As Su Fong took a step forward, an invisible aura burst out from his body. Is an element of 8, is an element of 8, is an element of reading, is an element of book, to infinity 3. Oh, this aura was normal in the eyes of ordinary people. It made Su Fong look no different from ordinary people. It was as if all of his brilliance had disappeared. Ordinary gods could see everything in the universe from Su Fong's aura. Wind, rain, thunder, lightning, flowers blooming and withering, wind blowing and clouds moving. Everything in nature could be found in it. Gods in the divine emperor realm, like Xianlingzi and Kuan Su, sensed a kind of supreme heavenly way aura. Heaven and earth were opened and the galaxy flowed. In the sensing power of experts like Zhu Yanjun, the great Tao contained in Su Fong's aura was not the great Tao of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, or thunder. It was not the great Tao of swordsmanship, dominator Tao, formation Tao, or any other great Tao. It contained all the great Tao in the universe. The great Tao, cultivated by billions of gods, could be found in the peak of the Trial Mountain, the space of the stands, and the space of the Dharma treasures. However, this scene was like an illusion. Boom, boom, boom. Under countless gazes, Su Fong stepped forward step by step. The clouds in front of him rolled and quickly opened up a passage. The clouds under his feet were also condensing quickly. These clouds were not the great Tao of earth or great Tao of fire that Su Fong cultivated. They did not belong to any great Tao, but they contained all great Taos. It looked like Su Fong was stepping on auspicious clouds, taking large strides as he headed straight for the peak. In a foggy thousand illusions fog realm, Su Fong seemed to be taking a stroll in the park. With an indescribable confidence and calmness, he walked forward without hesitation. The clouds around him rolled as if they were worshipping and submitting to him. A dozen breaths later, Su Fong pushed the clouds aside, and the entire divine sun tablet appeared in front of him. He reached out his right hand and slapped the top of the divine sun tablet. A stream of Dharma power and vital spirit aura was injected into it. The originally empty divine sun tablet suddenly emitted thousands of rays of bright golden light that shot into the sky. Under the illumination of the golden light, Su Fong was like a divine sun, slowly rising into the sky and shining with boundless radiance. Then, the golden light shrunk into the divine child tablet and condensed into 3 golden words. Mo Fenghua. The hundreds of millions of gods in the grandstand space, the 99 geniuses on the trial mountain, Zhu Yanjun, Qi Shao Shanjun, the Star Billow Realm Master, and many other higher echelons of the Star Billow God Realm were rendered speechless for a moment. About 5 breaths later, Mo Fenghua. He was the first to condense the Tao of mist and reach the divine child monument. He even left his name at the highest point of the monument. Mo Fenghua, Xinglan's #1 divine child. The exclamations of hundreds of millions of people shook the sky. This is my grandson, Xianlingzi. Xianlingzi pointed at Su Fong and laughed out loud. Who knew that as he laughed, he fell to the ground and fainted from excitement, scaring the people of Kuan Su's divine sect. Ji Xingyue's eyes were filled with shock and jealousy. How could this bastard be able to do this? Xinjia Tianjun revealed a smile, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. Su Fong, I finally found you. I didn't expect that my Star Billow God Realm would produce such a peerless genius. The Star Billow Realm Master's eyes flashed with a hearty light, surprised and excited. Qi Shao Shinjun transmitted his voice to Zhu Yanjun. Heavenly Lord, we should be able to conclude that this child is the peerless genius who was accepted into the primordial chaos golden ranking by Master Wuji, right? Zhu Yanjun nodded and said, this child is extraordinary and indeed has the qualifications to be listed on the primordial chaos golden ranking. If carefully nurtured, he can represent the star field's geniuses and participate in the geniuses of the universe. Then, Zhu Yanjun revealed an envious expression. Qi Shao, you've presided over the Kamiko Hoshino Summit competition this time and selected such a peerless genius for the star field. The Region Master will definitely reward you heavily. I congratulate you in advance. Qi Shao Shanjun was very happy in his heart, but he didn't dare to be conceited in front of Zhu Yanjun. He said politely, Heavenly Lord should take credit for being able to select Mo Fenghua. How could I dare to be greedy? Zhu Yanjun smiled in satisfaction and looked at Su Fong as if looking at a peerless treasure. Qi Shao Shanjun immediately ordered one of his subordinates behind him. Go, release that crane demon and treat him as an honored guest. Then, Zhu Yanjun released a divine might and sent Su Fong back to the peak of the trial peak. A voice came from the depths of Su Fong's body. Su Fong, you just revealed the aura of the world in your body and the primal chaos divine spark. I'm afraid it will bring you a lot of trouble. Chapter 1959. Something's wrong. Zhu Yanjun noticed that Su Fong, who was sitting cross-legged at the top of the mountain, had a sneer full of mockery on the corner of his mouth. She instantly understood. 8 square root 8 square root read square root book 2 30 greater than or equal to Qi Shao. Shanjun asked in surprise. Heavenly Lord, what's wrong? Zhu Yanjun replied. What Mo Fenghua said before wasn't unintentional. It was intentional. Qi Shao Shenjun's expression changed. Then, Qi Shao Shenjun was in disbelief. Heavenly Lord, are you saying that Mo Fenghua said those bold words on purpose to shake the Tao hearts of those geniuses? That's right. If that's really the case, then this kid is really scheming and ruthless. It's really shocking. Qi Xiao Xinjuan's heart skipped a beat. The Tao heart was the most important thing for cultivators. If one's Tao heart was firm, they would be able to overcome all obstacles and overcome all obstacles. If one's Tao heart wasn't stable, how could they cultivate? Su Fong actually used such a method to disturb the Tao hearts of those geniuses and make them hesitate. Not to mention the other things, just the divine prince's ranking alone would make them hesitate. Before this, Bai Holan, Song Jie, and the other geniuses not only attacked and mocked Su Fong, but also tried to kill Su Fong many times. Su Fong took revenge without leaving any traces. His methods were really ruthless. This kid is really a vengeful guy. He cleverly set up such a big trap and trapped all the geniuses inside. Those geniuses are really unlucky to have offended him. Even peerless geniuses like Bai Holan and Song Jie were unknowingly tricked by him, and their Tao hearts were damaged. Qi Xiao Xinjun smiled wryly, thinking about the prehistoric inflammation that he had planned to fight for Su Fong. Qi Xiao Xinjun felt a chill down his spine. He didn't know if the Su Fong was still holding a grudge over this matter. If that was the case, he would have to be careful in the future. He didn't want to fall into the trap that the Su Fong had set for him. While the geniuses at the top of the trial peak were still hesitating, Zhu Yanjun's thunderous voice resounded from the peak. A bunch of idiots. Do you really think you are some kind of peerless genius? What Mo Fenghua said is right. Geniuses walk an extraordinary path. You bunch of mediocre people can't walk that extraordinary path. Don't tell me you don't know how to walk. All the geniuses seemed to have been enlightened, and they immediately woke up from their hesitation. However, Zhu Yanjun's words made them look ashamed. Song Jie shouted loudly, "If a heavenly deity realm ant like Mo Fenghua can do it, why can't I, Song Jie, do it? I'm unwilling. I'm not convinced." That's because Mo Fenghua is a true peerless genius. He can condense an unprecedented mist Tao in the thousand illusions mist realm. While mediocre people must have self-awareness, and it's best to follow the rules. Otherwise, there will be no path to walk. Zhu Yanjun's words were like an incomparably resounding slap on Song Jie's face. Song Jie was immediately rendered speechless. The other geniuses, including Bai Holan, were all called mediocre by Zhu Yanjun. Each and every one of them had ugly expressions. These geniuses, especially Bai Holan, which one wasn't a proud and arrogant person whose heart was higher than the heavens. They thought that they could trample all the geniuses in the myriad worlds under their feet. At this time, compared to Su Fong, each and every one of them became mediocre people. How could they accept it? Mo Fenghua's words seem reasonable, but in reality, it's absurd to the extreme. Zhu Yanjun glared fiercely at Su Fong, then said slowly, "Although each of you has extraordinary talent, on the path of cultivation right now, you're like children who just started learning how to walk. Think about it for a moment. How can children who can't even walk cut through the thorns and walk that extraordinary path? Those painters who just started learning how to paint, which one of them didn't start from the most basic painting skills and then copy the masterpieces of the masters? Only then would they finally form their own style. Your cultivation level is too low, so you're thinking of walking that extraordinary path. It's already very fortunate that you didn't fall off the cliff. Now, you're still hesitating and indecisive. Isn't it laughable? Many geniuses suddenly came to a realization, and their hearts became much more cheerful. However, when they looked at Su Fong, their eyes revealed dissatisfaction and doubt. The audacious Song Jie directly said what was in the minds of many geniuses. Why can Mo Fenghua do it, but we can't? I suspect it's the same as the previous 3 stages. He's cheating. Lord Heavenly Monarch is inevitably biased towards Mo Fenghua. You dare to be impudent in front of this Lord and question this Lord just because you have some talent? Zhu Yanjun's voice was like a thunderclap that struck Song Jie's chest. Crack, crack. Song Jie's chest bones were shattered, and his internal organs were shaken. He couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood and sat on the ground dispiritedly. What kind of person was Zhu Yanjun? How could she allow Song Jie to be impudent in front of her and challenge her dignity in front of everyone? Every cultivator has their own path of cultivation. However, everything is predestined. Which cultivator isn't bound by the will of heaven? It's like an ant and a goshawk. As long as an ant perseveres, it can climb to the peak of a mountain like a goshawk. However, have any of you seen an ant soaring in the sky like a goshawk? An ant is an ant. It's impossible for it to soar in the sky like a goshawk. You're like an ant, and Mo Fenghua is that goshawk. Mo Fenghua was able to walk an extraordinary path in the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm. His future achievements can only be looked up to by all of you. As for you, it's better for you to obediently walk your ordinary path. Compared to him, you'll only be ridiculed. Zhu Yanjun said coldly. Many geniuses felt a blow to their confidence. However, the truth was right in front of them, and they couldn't refute it. Zhu Yanjun's words were clearly heard by the upper echelons of the star below God realm in the space of the artifact and the billions of gods in the stands. Zhu Yanjun was a heavenly monarch expert whose power shook the entire star field. Her evaluation of Su Fong caused Su Fong's position in everyone's hearts to instantly rise to an astonishing height, far surpassing Bai Holan's. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless gazes gathered on Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong's body seemed to be enveloped in a dazzling halo of genius. In the stands, Ji Xingyue's eyes were filled with jealousy and resentment. That bastard Mo Fenghua actually received such an evaluation from Zhu Yanjun. He'll definitely be a huge threat to the Ji people in the future. We must find a way to kill him before he grows up. Xinjia Tianjuan's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Su Fong's supreme talent all comes from that mysterious divine spark. If I can kill him and take his divine spark, I'll definitely be able to possess his talent and step onto that peerless peak. At the top of the trial peak, many geniuses looked at Su Fong with different expressions. Some were completely convinced, while others were still unconvinced. Geniuses like Zhou Kuanga and Piercing Metal were the same. There are also people who were abnormally angry. Even if Zhu Yanjun was right, and Su Fong was born to be that goshawk, and they were just a bunch of ants. This time, Su Fong, this goshawk, actually dared to instigate ants to soar into the sky. Wasn't this just digging a hole for them to die? It was simply too despicable, shameless, and sinister. This was the thought in the minds of most geniuses. Su Fong smiled helplessly and said, "I didn't do it on purpose. Definitely not on purpose." This explanation immediately reminded everyone of the time when he attracted the power of the lightning tribulation and disturbed the other geniuses. Their anger was instantly ignited, and they couldn't wait to skin him alive. Bai Holan closed his eyes and didn't say a word. After being silent for a long time, Bai Holan suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the space in his artifact. Bai Holan, am not convinced by this method of the Godchild competition. I won't participate in the following rankings. After saying this, Bai Holan flew into the sky and left the trial peak shakily. He actually gave up on the following rankings. Everyone knew that Bai Holan's words were just to give himself a way out of this embarrassing situation. Everyone sighed in their hearts. Bai Holan's talent was peerless, and he fully deserved the title of the Star Below God Realm's #1 genius. In the future, he would definitely become the realm master of a great realm, or even the realm master of a greater realm. However, in this Godchild competition, Bai Holan met a monstrous existence like Mo Fenghua. He was born at the wrong time. The heavens were so heartless. Since the Star Below God realm already had a peerless genius like Bai Holan, why did Mo Fenghua also appear? Bai Holan is just a hypocrite. A loss is a loss. What's there to be ashamed to admit? If I'm not as good as Mo Fenghua, don't tell me I don't need to live anymore. Song Jie, don't believe that I can't surpass him in the future, even if I'm not as good as him now. Song Jie laughed wildly. He sat down on a mountain peak and swallowed pills to recover from his injuries. He planned to continue challenging the Thousand Illusions Mist Realm after he recovered. Seeing this, the other geniuses all calmed down. After several years of calming down, there would be geniuses who would reach the Godchild monument and leave their names on it. Although Song Jie was arrogant and bloodthirsty, his talent was indeed extraordinary. In the end, he successfully condensed a mist path in the Thousand Illusions mist realm. The height he reached was shockingly below Su Fong and above many other geniuses. The next rankings were Zhou Kuanga, Yuan Yunyu, Piercing Metal, and the others. Everyone's attention was focused on Su Fong. In their eyes, the rankings of the other geniuses were no longer that important. Kamiko Hoshino's ranking was not very different from the Tongbao Chamber of Commerce's predicted ranking before the finals of the Godchild competition. / The only exception was Su Fong. Before the finals of the Godchild competition, Tongbao Chamber of Commerce's predicted ranking was 250. It was this ridiculed idiot who not only became one of the 100 godchildren, but also took first place and became the #1 godchild. This result was out of everyone's expectations. Even Tongbao Chamber of Commerce did not expect it. The dust of the Kamiko Hoshino competition had finally settled. Zhu Yanjun, Qishao Shinjun, the Star Billow Realm Lord, and many other higher-ups of the Star Billow God Realm appeared at the peak of the Trial Mountain. This seat announces the ranking of this Kamiko Hoshino competition. The #1 godchild, Mo Fenghua. Chapter 1960. Star Billow Star's #1 godchild, Mo Fenghua, has really soared to the heavens this time. From a genius from a small realm like Kuan Su to the #1 genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm, Yuebwa Holan has suddenly become the #1 genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm. Bai Holan actually couldn't beat Mo Fenghua. This is really unexpected. I'm afraid he won't have the face to see anyone in the future. Everyone was talking about Su Fong, and they would mention Bai Holan and feel sorry for him. Under the gazes of countless people, the Star Billow Realm Lord continued, Mo Fenghua, since you are #1 in this godchild competition, you will lead the other Kamiko Hoshino to participate in the Starfield's godchild competition in another 10,000 years. I hope you can obtain supreme glory for the Star Billow Divine Realm at that time. Yes, Su Fong bowed and said, from today onwards, you will be the #1 special disciple of the Star Billow Divine Realm's secret realm. Your status in the Star Billow Divine Realm is equivalent to an elder, and you will enjoy all the benefits of an elder. When the Star Billow Realm Lord said this, his right hand grabbed the air and took out a storage ring. He flipped his hand and rolled it over to Su Fong. There are 10 million pills in here, all of which are mid-rank pills. Also, there is your identity token. With this token, you can receive all the resources that belong to you. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several gazes filled with envy and jealousy landed on Su Fong's figure. Even those peerless experts, which one of them didn't want to be the center of attention? The #1 godchild of the Star Billow Divine Realm, identity, status, and future, who wouldn't be envious? The geniuses behind Su Fong, other than envy and jealousy, there was also a strong sense of dissatisfaction. Many people had the same thought. If Zhu Yanjun didn't change the rules at the last minute, how could the #1 godchild fall on Su Fong's head based on true strength? What they didn't know was that the reason Zhu Yanjun changed the rules was because she witnessed the shocking scene of Su Fong killing the resurrected demon god with a lightning of destiny. If Su Fong used this supreme ability in the godchild competition, even Bai Holan wouldn't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. In order to avoid casualties, Zhu Yanjun changed the rules of the ranking competition. Thank you, Realm Lord. Su Fong grabbed the storage ring, feeling very happy, and a strong sense of confidence welled up in his heart. The #1 special disciple of the Star Billow God Realm. This status was even more honorable than the Realm Master of a small realm like Kuan Su. Of course, this was only an empty title, and it did not hold much real power. Su Fong also did not plan to stay in the Star Billow God Realm and fight for power with others. 10 million mid-grade pellets. This was a great reward. Su Fong was at least in the Divine Emperor realm. He didn't need to worry about cultivation resources, not to mention that he still had 10 Saint Pellets of Fortune. The Star Billow God realm was a great realm, and the status of an elder was extraordinary. The resources that they enjoyed were naturally incomparably abundant. Su Fang had been conferred the title of the number 1 special disciple, which was equivalent to the status of an elder, so he did not need to worry about the matter of resources. Now that he had won the title of the number 1 godchild in the Star Below God realm, his reputation would spread far and wide. This meant that he had the capital to establish himself in the universe. At the same time, he had also obtained the opportunity to participate in the Star Region's competition for the title of Godchild. How could Su Fang not be happy to receive so many benefits? At the same time, Su Fang had also proven his talent to everyone. The confidence that he had gained from this was more important than the treasures that he had obtained. There was also another great reward. Bai Ling was finally saved, and he no longer needed to worry about Qi Xiao Shunjun seizing the prehistoric inflammation. In this godchild competition, not only had his strength increased by leaps and bounds, his status had also been completely changed, and his troubles had been easily solved. All of this had been exchanged through Su Fang's perseverance, and various dangers, as well as his talent. Su Fang secretly transmitted his voice to Qi Xiao Shunjun with his nascent spirit. Lord Divine Sovereign, the previous agreement. Qi Xiao Shunjun chuckled and replied, "Don't worry, since I have made a promise, I naturally will not go back on my words. I have already sent someone to release that little crane demon, and I will not covet your prehistoric inflammation even the slightest bit." "Thank you, Lord Divine Sovereign." Su Fang's heart finally fell to the ground. After that, the Star Below Realm Master finished announcing the rankings of all the Kamiko Hoshino participants. At the same time, the upper echelons of the Star Below God Realm also gave out rewards to the other godchildren. The rewards for the other geniuses were very generous, but when compared to Su Fang, it was obviously not as good. Many geniuses couldn't help but feel envious and jealous of Su Fang. Mo Fenghua, follow me. When the Star Below Realm Master announced the end of the Kamiko Hoshino competition, Qi Xiao Shunjun immediately brought Su Fang to the palace he was staying in. After passing through the formation and entering the secret realm, Qi Xiao Shunjun said, "I have already arranged for that little crane demon to stay in one of the palaces. You can take her there." Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Lord Divine Sovereign, for fulfilling my wish. Mo Fenghua will definitely remember this favor." Qi Xiao Shunjun said with a smile, "Just remember that you owe me a favor. When you become famous in the Star Region and rise to prominence in the myriad realms, who knows, maybe I will have a favor to ask of you. When that time comes, don't refuse. Lord Divine Sovereign is too polite. If that time really comes, if Lord Divine Sovereign has any orders, I will do my best to fulfill them." Su Fang readily agreed. Qi Xiao Shunjun arranged for the experts under his command to bring Su Fang to one of the palaces. "Su Fang, you can be considered successful now. Even the experts of the Star Region are so courteous to you." Luo's voice came from inside the time and space cave as he communicated with Su Fang. "If I hadn't used the opportunity of the Kamiko Hoshino competition to display my talent, would Qi Xiao Shunjun have treated me like this? He would have taken away my prehistoric inflammation without any hesitation. Even Sister Bai wouldn't be able to escape from the shackles. At least you didn't lose your head. If you want to stand firm in the myriad realms, both power and talent are indispensable. The Divine Child competition has given you a chance to rise. You must use this opportunity to quickly improve your strength. Only then will you have the capital to contend with the Sanskrit and G people." "Luo, I understand. You have stood firm in the myriad realms. I should also leave your side and find a way to return to the Shura Divine clan to take back my body and recover my former strength." Su Fangdao was shocked. "Luo, you plan to return to the Shura Divine clan? How could the Blood River Lord and the others let you go?" Luo said with a murderous look, "I will return sooner or later and take back everything that belongs to me." "Luo, it's too dangerous for you to go back now. Wait a little longer. When I become strong enough, I will accompany you back to the Shura Divine clan. At that time, not only will I help you take back your body, but I will also help you get back what your clansmen owe you tenfold. Su Fang's extremely resolute tone moved Luo for a while. After a moment of silence, Luo said slowly, Su Fang, it's my good fortune to have a friend like you. Me too, Luo, Su Fang replied solemnly. In the palace, Bai Ling, who had been released from the shackles and returned to her human form, anxiously paced back and forth in the main hall. After being caught and reduced to a dancer situation, Bai Ling fell into incomparable despair. It wasn't until Su Fang appeared a few years ago that she rekindled a glimmer of hope. However, Bai Ling knew very well that the chances of Su Fang rescuing her from the hands of a powerhouse equivalent to a great realm master were slim. This time, she was suddenly released. Not only was her shackles lifted, but she was also provided with a large number of medicinal pills for recovery. Moreover, those big shots, who used to be high and mighty, who beat and scolded at the slightest provocation, suddenly became incomparably respectful, which made Bai Ling unable to adapt. Bai Ling's first thought was Su Fang, but she immediately rejected this judgment. No matter how powerful Su Fang was, it was impossible for her to have such power. Bai Ling couldn't figure out what had happened. Instead, she became anxious. A master at the peak of the divine Emperor realm stood respectfully to the side. Bai Ling couldn't get anything out of him. Sister Bai. A strange figure appeared at the entrance of the main hall. The familiar voice of the nascent spirit was transmitted. Bai Ling's body suddenly shook. She looked incredulously at Su Fang, who had walked into the main hall. Brother, is it really you? Although Bai Ling had seen Su Fang in Mo Fenghua's appearance, she still found it hard to believe at this time. Little Crane, who else could it be other than Su Fang? Qingyu's nascent spirit voice was also transmitted. Elder, brother, it really is you. Bai Ling was surprised and overjoyed. Tears suddenly flowed out of her eyes. Sister Bai, this is not the place to talk. Let's get out of here first. Su Fang put Bai Ling into her inner world, and then quickly left the secret realm where Qishao Shunjun lived. Su Fang peeled off a yang spirit and came to her inner world to meet with Bai Ling. At the same time, she also called Qingyu. The three of them had formed a deep friendship from the small world to the big world. They were even closer than family. At this time, they met again in the myriad heavens, and after Bai Ling's ordeal, they were naturally very surprised. Bai Ling also told Su Fang and Qingyu about what happened after entering the myriad heavens. It turned out that after Bai Ling became a demon saint in the big world, she was brought to a divine world in the myriad heavens by the Chaos Ring and met the Heaven Lord of Chaos. According to Bai Ling, the Heaven Lord of Chaos was also a peerless expert in a divine world. Later, because he failed to advance to a higher level, he was reincarnated into the small world to start cultivating again. The Heaven Lord of Chaos was also a peerless genius. From the small world to the big world, and then to the myriad heavens, it took less than 100 million years to recover her former strength. The Heaven Lord of Chaos left behind the inheritance in the small world only to settle the karma in the lower realm. She did not expect to receive a successor. She did not expect Bai Ling to be able to grow from a little crane demon in the small world to a demon saint, triggering the nascent spirit consciousness that the Heaven Lord of Chaos left in the Chaos Ring. After arriving in the myriad heavens, Bai Ling truly understood the power of the Heaven Lord of Chaos. After being accepted as a disciple by the Heaven Lord of Chaos, her strength increased rapidly. At this time, she already had the standard of a peak ninth heaven celestial god. 10,000 years ago, the Heaven Lord of Chaos went into seclusion to cultivate, and once again attacked a higher level. Bai Ling encountered shackles in the divine world plane where the Heaven Lord of Chaos cultivated in seclusion. She was worried about Su Fang, so she secretly left the divine world and wandered the myriad heavens. Chapter 1961. Sister Bai, you actually wandered the heavens just to find me? Su Fang was very shocked, and waves of warmth welled up in his heart. A demon god at the peak of the ninth heaven of the heavenly god realm was comparable to an ordinary lower divine emperor. However, It was limited to one divine world at most, and was not considered an expert in the heavens. The divine worlds were separated by many planes, and most of the divine worlds did not have interrealm stargates. One had to travel through the chaotic void, and one had to experience countless dangers along the way. Not to mention divine emperors. Even a great world master would not dare to travel through the chaotic void without a powerful divine weapon. How could Su Fang not be surprised that Bai Ling was so bold? Even Qing Yu was full of admiration for Bai Ling. Don't worry, I have the Chaos Ring. You still don't know, right? After I ascended to the myriad realms, the old man gave me a new Chaos Ring. It looks similar to the previous one, but its quality is much higher. As for what quality it is, the old man was very secretive and didn't tell me. Old man? The old man is naturally the Lord of Chaos. He told me to call him that. Su Fang was speechless. She actually called her master an old man. How confusing. When I came to this star field, I was very unlucky to encounter the Chaos Torrent and was heavily injured. Fortunately, I have a new Chaos Ring. Otherwise, I would have died this time. How did you fall into the hands of Qi Xiao, Shanjun? I was really unlucky this time. After I was injured, I encountered a group of bandits called Yu Sha. They captured me and sold me to the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. In the end, I was bought by Qi Xiao Shinjuan subordinates. They actually made me transform into my true form and dance for a singer. I'm so angry. At this point, Bai Ling could not help but gnash her teeth. Su Fang also felt a pang of sorrow in his heart. From a small world to a large world, Bai Ling had never suffered such a huge loss before. This time, they had coincidentally met in the star Billow Divine Realm, so it could be said that they were extremely lucky. Sister Bai, stay by my side, and Brother Qingyu. Let's rise together like we did in the small world and the great world, and finally reach the supreme peak together. If you address Senior as your brother, then wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? Qingyu smiled indifferently. The three of us are no different from brothers and sisters. Naturally, we have to address each other as brothers. Su Fang also told Bai Ling about his experiences after coming to the myriad worlds. Qingyu said, Su Fang, you're now the #1 God's child of Xinglan. It's time for you to return to your true appearance. You can't keep using the identity of an idiot like Mo Fenghua. Su Fang was silent for a moment and sighed. My identity will be made public sooner or later. As for Xianlingzi, it's better to wait. Bai Ling settled down in her inner world. Su Fang gave her a large number of blood crystals to recover and strive to break through to the Divine Emperor realm as soon as possible. Su Fang's blood crystals included the arm of the Ji people's expert, Jiang, and the blood qi extracted from a large number of demon gods killed in the trial peak. They were refined with the power of the yin-yang world, which was of great help to the big goblin's cultivation. In addition, Su Fang also received a reward of 10 million mid-grade elixirs. At the same time, he also distributed them to Bai Ling, Qingyu, Fire Lizard, Sunflower Water Mermaid, and other subordinates. As for the heavenly deities that Su Fang had subdued in the Suiyu Cave, he had also given them a lot of medicinal pellets and resources. Naturally, they were all overjoyed and were completely loyal to Su Fang. In the trial peak, Su Fang also used prehistoric inflammation to control many experts of the demon clan. However, they were one-time consumables. Like the powerful rune talismans, Su Fang temporarily sealed them in his inner world. They would definitely come in handy in the future. My next goal is the Star Area God's Child competition 10,000 years later. I, Su Fang, will not be limited to one God's world. Rising in the Star Area is my next goal. Becoming the #1 God's Child of Xinglan allowed Su Fang to gain a firm foothold in all the worlds. However, Su Fang was very clear-headed. He hadn't obtained his title as the #1 divine son of the star Billow Star by fighting with his true strength. How could Bai Holan, Song Jie, and Piercing Metal, who had originally intended to kill him, be convinced? There would definitely be a lot of trouble coming one after another. With his current strength and identity, it would be very difficult to deal with. There was also the extremely powerful Sanskrit and Ji people. Su Fong relied on the Hunyuan Golden List, which even he didn't know the details of, as well as Infinite Life and Mo Tiangong, to deter these two god clans. Just being the number one god's child of Xinglan was obviously far from enough. If he couldn't show his talent in the upcoming Star Area God's Child competition and lose the attention of Infinite Life and Mo Tiangong, the Fan and Ji clans would pounce on Su Fong without hesitation and swallow him whole. There was also the mysterious assassin organization, the Soulless. Su Fong had to be on guard at all times. Bai Ling had already been found. There was also another person that Su Fong was worried about, and that was Fairy Xuanxin. Su Fong had asked Jiang Baojin to inquire about the ancient Divine Phoenix clan and the Lord of Chaos, but there had been no response so far. There are still dangers everywhere. The slightest carelessness will lead to the tragic fate of having one's soul destroyed. Strength is always the way to go. Su Fong took a deep breath and dispelled the impatience in his heart. He returned to the mountain where Kuan Su's divine sect resided. Just as he was about to enter the mountain, two-star Billow God Realm experts flew towards Su Fong. These two-star Billow God Realm experts were middle-aged and looked somewhat similar. Their cultivation had reached the level of a high-level God Emperor like Kuan Su, and their status in the Star Billow God Realm was very high. At the very least, they were the elders of the Star Billow God Realm. One of the experts, who looked slightly older, cupped his fists at Su Fong and said, "I am Quan Lin, and this is my brother Quan Jun. We have been ordered by the Realm Lord to protect you before the Star Area God Child competition begins." Two high-level God Emperors, whose strength is equivalent to the Realm Lord of a small realm. To protect me? Su Fong was not surprised. The Godchild status is extraordinary. In the future, the Star Area Godchild competition will depend on the Godchild to show the Star Billow God Realm's might. It is because of this that the Realm Lord has made such arrangements. When he said this, Quan Lin lowered his voice and continued. In a mountain where the Godchild resided, Manager Ruinyu suddenly died in a bizarre manner during the Godchild competition. The Realm Lord suspects that experts from other forces have snuck in, so he has to be careful. Died in a bizarre manner? Su Fong raised his eyebrows. It is very strange. Ruinyu seemed to have committed suicide, but her heart was missing. This situation is very similar to the mysterious assassin organization, No Gods, that appeared in other god realms before. Quan Lin's words shocked Su Fong. Night Demon. Su Fong's first thought was Night Demon, and he could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. Quan Lin said, "Clearly, someone wants to harm the Godchild and the Star Billow God Realm. Therefore, the Realm Lord must take precautions. It doesn't matter if No Gods is a force formed by Night Demon or not. Since they dared to attack me, they will be uprooted sooner or later. Also, I must find the person who bought No Gods." Su Fong sneered in his heart. Quan Lin continued. The Realm Lord plans to find a new palace for the Godchild to live in. It is better not to return to your current residence. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Why is that?" Quan Lin smiled and said, "Godchild has become the number one Godchild of the Star Billow God Realm, and countless people have come to visit. Right now, the front of the cave is full of people. Many of them are the upper echelons of the Star Billow God Realm and the leaders of various forces. They have brought their women to marry the Godchild." Su Fong could not help but be dumbfounded. Su Fong felt a dull pain in his head. He hurriedly turned to leave, but at this time, a rune talisman in his storage ring suddenly vibrated. It was Jiang Baojin. "Brother Emo, the matter you asked Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce to investigate has taken shape. Where's Brother Emo? Is there any progress?" Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. Bai Ling had already gathered, so there was no need for him to inquire about the heavenly monarch of chaos. However, the Divine Phoenix clan was related to Fairy Xuanxin, so Su Fong would not let go of any information. After agreeing to meet Jiang Baojin at Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, Su Fong sent a message to Xian Lingzi with his nascent soul and asked him to deal with the endless stream of guests. Su Fong left the Star Billow God Realm's secret realm. Quan Lin and Quan Jun, the two great experts, followed Su Fong like shadows. With the protection of these two great experts, he could sit back and relax in the star below God realm. Even if a great realm master attacked, Su Fong could easily escape with the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle as long as the two great experts blocked him for a moment. The star below God realm's Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was located in the most prosperous area in the central region of the divine capital. It was like a city within a city. Outside Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was a street market made up of countless shops and pavilions. Because flying was prohibited, all gods could only walk. The streets were full of people and carriages. This was Su Fong's first time seeing the cultivation civilization of the myriad realms. He was like a country bumpkin entering a city. His eyes were overwhelmed. The Quan brothers were elders and experts in the star below God realm. They held high positions, but they were actually sent here as bodyguards. Naturally, it did not feel good. Seeing Su Fong's expression, the two brothers couldn't help but feel disdain. He's a country bumpkin from a small realm, after all. How ignorant. The entrance of a shop not far from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was filled with people. No one knew what was going on. You dare to ask for 1,000,000 divine jades for a mid-grade divine artifact? Do you think I'm a fool who doesn't know what's good for me? I'll reward you with 100,000 divine jades. I'll take the divine artifact. Piercing Metal's domineering voice came from the crowd. A humble voice sounded. Lord Godchild, I exchange my life for this divine artifact. I want to sell it to save my son's life. I won't sell it for less. Piercing Metal shouted domineeringly. Your son's lowly life is not worth 1,000,000 divine jades. Since you're so pitiful, I'll give you 200,000 divine jades. If you continue to push your luck, I'll have the enforcers arrest you and throw you in jail. Su Fong was planning to head directly to Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, but when he heard that humble voice, his eyebrows rose and his eyes revealed surprise. Chapter 1962. Amidst the crowd, a burly and mighty middle-aged man with a face full of vicissitudes appeared. He wore a mercenary outfit commonly seen in the star below God world, but his clothes were stained with blood. Venerable Tyrant Blood. This middle-aged man was none other than Venerable Tyrant Blood, who had ascended to the myriad worlds with Su Fong. Su Fong had ascended with Ancestor Grand Star, Old Immortal Yao He, and Venerable Tyrant Blood. Ancestor Grand Star had already been killed by Su Fong, and Old Immortal Yao He had also fallen. Only Venerable Tyrant Blood was left. He hadn't expected to meet Venerable Tyrant Blood here. Currently, Venerable Tyrant Blood was only a second heavenly layer true god. He no longer had the domineering aura of a peerless expert from the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Instead, he looked dispirited and lonely. It was obvious that he had been living a miserable life after ascending. Beside Venerable Tyrant Blood stood a woman. She was beautiful, but her face was pale and filled with fear. She held a 3- or 4-year-old child in her arms. His face was black. It was unknown what kind of strange poison he had been poisoned with. Venerable Tyrant Blood held a flying sword in his hand. It was a very good mid-grade divine artifact. Although it was a good flying sword, Venerable Tyrant Blood's asking price of 1,000,000 divine jades was clearly a bit too high. However, it was still a mid-grade divine artifact, and the lowest price was 500,000 divine jades. Piercing Metal was a bit overbearing for only 200,000. Besides Piercing Metal, Bai Shun was also by his side. At the beginning of the finals, Bai Shun had arrogantly wanted to kill Su Fong. In the end, he had almost lost his life and lost the chance to become Kamiko Hoshino. A law enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce parted the crowd and coldly shouted at Venerable Tyrant Blood. Young Master Piercing Metal has taken a fancy to your divine artifact. It's your honor, but you deliberately raised the price. Don't you even put young Master Jean in your eyes? I think you're a bandit in disguise. You've infiltrated the market and are plotting something. Come with me. The law enforcer reached out and grabbed the flying sword. Then, he casually sent out an aura that bombarded Venerable Tyrant Blood's chest, causing him to stagger back. A trace of blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Another 3 law enforcers from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce stepped forward to shackle Venerable Tyrant Blood. I can testify for this person. He is definitely not a bandit. Moreover, I've also taken a fancy to the divine artifact in his hand. I'm willing to buy it for 2 million divine jades. Why aren't you letting him go?" Su Fong released an invisible divine power, and the crowd automatically parted to form a path. Su Fongda swaggered to the center of the crowd. Mo Fenghua. Piercing metals, sword-like eyebrows twitched as a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Bai Shun's eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. Mo Fenghua. He's Xinglan's #1 divine son, Mo Fenghua. The crowd burst into exclamations and looked at Su Fong with eyes full of awe and shock. When venerable tyrant Blood saw that his savior had arrived, and that it was Mo Fenghua, who had just become Xinglan's #1 divine child, he was instantly overjoyed. Mo Fenghua, are you deliberately going against this godchild? Piercing Metal shouted angrily. Go against you? Are you worthy? I'm a #1 divine son. What's your rank? How dare you be so impudent in front of me? Su Fong revealed a towering, domineering aura as he glanced at Piercing Metal with disdain. At the beginning of the Divine Sun competition, Bai Shun and Piercing Metal had tried to kill Su Fong. Su Fong had always remembered this debt. With Su Fong's personality, he would not only go against him. As long as he had the chance, he would not hesitate to kill him. There was also Bai Shun. Su Fong would definitely not let him go. Buzz, 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 the purple cloud Dharma spirit suddenly trembled in his body. Su Fong was not surprised. Divine light wrapped around the Dharma Enforcer's flying sword, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. Piercing Metal suppressed his anger and said coldly to the Dharma Enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, "This is Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's territory. Do as you see fit. If you can't satisfy this divine son, it will be difficult to explain to my uncle." So Piercing Metal's uncle was a manager of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. No wonder he dared to be so domineering here. Divine Son Mo Fenghua, don't you think you should take a step back? The Dharma Enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce smiled awkwardly at Su Fong. Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was indeed a powerful force throughout the universe. They did not even give face to Su Fong, the #1 divine son of Xinglan. The Quan brothers stood at the back of the crowd. They had no intention of stepping forward. They were ordered to protect Su Fong, but they would not stand up for Su Fong for everything. Furthermore, this involved Piercing Metal, so they would not interfere. Bai Shun sneered proudly. Mo Fenghua, your status as a divine son is useless in front of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Get lost. You want me to take a step back? I don't have the habit of taking a step back. Su Fong snorted and took out a divine jade Tong Bao. It was not an ordinary divine jade Tong Bao, but a purple jade in the shape of a copper coin. It contained a naturally formed heavenly scar. This purple jade was the one Jiang Baozhen gave Su Fong back in the Suiyu Cave. With this purple jade, Su Fong would be treated as a VIP in Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Purple Scar Divine Jade. The expression of the Dharma Enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce changed instantly. A VIP who possessed a Purple Scar Divine Jade would be treated as a VIP not only in the Star Billow Divine Realm, but also in the entire universe as long as it was within Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's sphere of influence. Piercing Metal's uncle had an extraordinary position in Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, but he was only a manager. Offending a VIP who possessed a Purple Scar Divine Jade was the end of his career. Su Fong snorted coldly. When I see Jiang Baozhen later, I want to ask him why a Dharma Enforcer from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce would chase away a VIP who possesses a Purple Scar Divine Jade. What is the reason for this? What kind of person is Lord Godchild? Why would you lower yourself to the level of a blind fool like me? The Dharma Enforcer's face was filled with flattering smiles as he respectfully handed the flying sword to Su Fong. Then he said to Piercing Metal, "Young Master Metal, I have no choice but to ask you to take a step back." Piercing Metal was furious that Su Fong had humiliated him in front of everyone. He even felt a burning sensation in his heart. However, he still held on and sneered. 2 million divine jades to buy a mid-rank flying sword. Since you, Mo Fenghua, are willing to be a sucker, this godchild will fulfill your wish. Bai Shun said, Kuan Su is a lowly ant from the god realm. What has he seen of the world? If he is willing to be a succor, then let him go. Venerable Tyrant Blood hurriedly said, Lord Godchild, this treasure is not worth 2,000,000 divine jades. You can take it away for 500,000 divine jades. Mid-rank flying sword? Su Fong chuckled. Piercing metal. This mercenary is a true immortal, but he can't see through this flying sword. You, a deity emperor, actually treat this treasure as trash. You really have eyes, but can't see. Piercing metal snorted at Su Fong's words. This godchild has long seen that this mid-rank flying sword is extraordinary. If you say it's some kind of treasure, then it's really a big joke. Bai Shun also mocked and ridiculed. If it's worth 2,000,000 divine jades, this young master will dig out his eyeballs. It's a deal. If you go back on your word, I'll dig out your eyeballs for you. Su Fong smiled coldly, then activated the flying sword in his hand. At the same time, he poured a mysterious purple energy into the flying sword. In a split second, complex, heavenly marks appeared on the sword's body. An ancient, sharp aura exploded from the flying sword, and a surge of sword energy soared into the sky. Within the sword energy, there was an ancient, domineering aura, as if it was the sword of a king. As soon as the sword energy appeared, the flying swords in the surrounding gods' bodies trembled. They uncontrollably emerged from their bodies, and the tips of their swords pointed at Su Fong's flying sword, as if they were paying respects to a king. How could a mid-rank divine artifact possess such an aura? Peak Supreme Rank. Moreover, it was a peak Supreme Rank ancient treasure. It was not an exaggeration to call it treasure. Its value was so high that even 10,000,000 divine jades would not be able to buy it, let alone 2,000,000 divine jades. One could only be lucky enough to see it at the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's large-scale auctions. It was clear that this flying sword was an ownerless item. When its owner died, the artifact's spirit sealed itself as well. In addition, it was a peak Supreme Rank ancient treasure. Not to mention ordinary gods. Even experts like the realm lords of small realms would find it difficult to find clues. And Su Fong had the purple aura spirit. Not only did he easily find out that this flying sword was extraordinary, but he also used the purple aura spirit to awaken the artifact's spirit and activate a small part of its power. It was as easy as flipping his hand. Everyone stared at the flying sword in Su Fong's hand, dumbfounded. Even Venerable Tyrant Blood was dumbfounded. He never thought that the flying sword he planned to sell at the price of a mid-rank divine artifact would be a peerless treasure. Quan Lin and Quan Jun, who were at the back of the crowd, looked at Su Fong in shock. Not only were they shocked by Su Fong's ability to identify treasures, but they were also shocked by Su Fong's ability to control treasures. He had just obtained a peak Supreme Rank divine artifact, but he was able to activate it without fusing with it. Although it was an extremely small part of its power, it was still a shocking thing. The Quan brothers asked themselves, and they definitely could not do it. Not only them, even the great elders of the Star Billow God realm might not be able to do it. Just based on his ability to control treasures, Mo Fenghua is fully deserving of being the #1 godchild of the Star Billow God realm. The Quan brothers were incomparably shocked. The contempt they had for Su Fong just now instantly disappeared. Piercing metal and stone was shocked, and his intestines were green with regret. If he had known this would happen, he would have spent 1,000,000 to buy this flying sword. Then he wouldn't have been slapped in the face by Su Fong in front of everyone. In the end, he even let Su Fong get a huge bargain. Consider yourself lucky. Piercing metal snorted with a gloomy face and turned to leave. Bai Shun glared fiercely at Su Fong before following him. Suddenly, Su Fong's cold voice came from behind. Bai Shun, are you going back on your word? It won't be too late to dig out your eyeballs before leaving. He's actually going to dig out Bai Shun's eyeballs. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Chapter 1963. Bai Shun was enraged. Mo Fenghua, don't push me too far. Su Fong shouted coldly. Words spoken are like spilled water. How can you say that I'm pushing you too far? Then, Su Fong's eyes turned cold. At the beginning of the God's Child battle, You bullied me and tried to kill me. Why didn't you say that you were pushing me too far back then? If you want to kill someone, you have to be prepared to be killed. Besides, I just want your eyes." Su Fong leaped, pouncing straight for Bai Shun like a fierce beast. "You're courting death." Piercing metal roared and slashed his right palm in the air. A sharp blade of mystic light, carrying a terrifying aura that could cut through everything, cut Su Fong's body into two halves. Everyone gasped, but the scene of blood splattering didn't appear in front of their eyes. Su Fong used the great Tao of time, and piercing metal's domineering slash only destroyed the afterimage he left behind. Meanwhile, Su Fong's true body took advantage of the time difference to close in on Bai Shun. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed Bai Shun's neck. In the blink of an eye, Bai Shun fell into Su Fong's grasp like a weak chicken. His entire body turned cold, as if the god of death had grabbed his throat. Su Fong said coldly, "You and I have no grudge, so why do you want to kill me? Tell me who's behind this, and I'll spare you this time." Bai Shun trembled, but he was still very stubborn. "Emo Fanghua, even if you're the number one godchild of the Star Billow God Realm, do you dare to kill me, a special disciple of the Star Billow God Realm, in front of everyone?" Su Fong sneered and mocked, "You're such a trash. Killing you would only dirty my hands. However, I can dig out your eyeballs and make you suffer a little. With your cultivation, your eyeballs will quickly grow back after being gouged out. It won't cause much harm to you. Just bear with the pain for a while, and you'll be fine. However, if I'm too heavy-handed and your eyes never recover, don't blame me." "You dare." Bai Shun was both shocked and angry. Piercing metal stopped attacking and snorted. "Emo Fanghua, if you really dare to be so arrogant and despotic, even the Realm Lord won't let you off." Quan Lin sent a primordial spirit message to Su Fong. Bai Shun is a genius of the Star Billow Divine Realm, and his family is quite influential in the Star Billow Divine Realm. If you hurt him in front of everyone, I'm afraid that it will bring a lot of trouble to the Godchild. At that time, even the Lord Realm Master won't be able to protect you." Su Fong replied, "Bai Shun was ordered by someone to kill me. I suspect that Soulless is the mastermind behind all of this. In fact, he might even have fallen under Soulless control and become a chess piece that Soulless has hidden in the Star Billow God Realm." Quan Lin raised his eyebrows and stopped trying to dissuade Su Fong. Su Fong's hand suddenly shrank. Bai Shun was like a chicken being choked by the neck. He couldn't breathe properly, his eyes rolled back, and he couldn't circulate the divine essence in his body. Then, Su Fong's hand relaxed slightly. "I'll ask you one more time. Who is the mastermind behind all of this?" Bai Shun sneered. "That's right. I was ordered to kill you by someone. You can't afford to offend this person, so I advise you to let me go obediently." ZZZT. Two beams of fire suddenly shot out of Su Fong's eyes and landed in Bai Shun's eyes, burning them instantly. The eyes were the most sensitive and fragile part of the body. How painful was it to have one's eyes burned alive? Bai Shun wailed like a ghost and howled like a wolf. Then, he fainted from the pain. Su Fong had used the 9-yang divine fire to unleash the heaven-burning eye. Even if Bai Shun was in the divine emperor realm and had an incomparably strong divine body, he couldn't heal his eyes easily. Su Fong threw Bai Shun to the ground and looked at piercing metal. He said coldly, "Tell the mastermind that I will find him sooner or later and make him pay 10 times the price." Piercing metal shouted angrily, "Emo Fanghua, you are so arrogant and despotic. You killed a genius of the Star Billow God Realm. So I, Piercing Metal, challenge you on behalf of the disciples of the Star Billow God Realm. We will fight to the death." "Challenge me? You're not worthy." Su Fong sneered disdainfully. He wasn't being arrogant. What he said was the truth. With his current overall strength, Piercing Metal only had the right to be crushed. He didn't have the right to challenge him. "Then I, Piercing Metal, would like to see for myself just what right you have to be so arrogant, the number one godson of God, who was obtained by cheating." Piercing Metal shouted domineeringly and was about to attack Su Fong. Quan Lin and Quan Jun's body swayed. The terrifying pressure of a high-level divine emperor swept out and forced Piercing Metal to retreat. Piercing Metal, You're on your own. If you don't know when to stop, don't blame me for being impolite. Quan Lin revealed the domineering aura of an elder. Mo Fenghua, one day, I will make you kneel and lick my shoes. No matter how arrogant piercing metal was, he didn't dare to be impudent in front of two elder experts. After leaving behind a few fierce words, he left with the unconscious by shun in embarrassment. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Gazes filled with reverence fell on Su Fong. Su Fong waved his hand, and a storage ring flew into Venerable Tyrant Blood's hand. Then he sent a message with his primordial spirit. There are 5 million divine jades and a rune talisman in the storage ring. Don't go far. I will send someone to find you later. The surrounding crowd looked at Venerable Tyrant Blood enviously. This lucky mercenary. If he hadn't met Su Fong, not only would he have lost his treasure, he would have been captured by the enforcers of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Su Fong led the Quan brothers towards Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. Only when Su Fong's figure disappeared from the market did Venerable Tyrant Blood react. His heart was full of doubts. He brought his wife and children to a nearby inn to stay and wait for Su Fong to send someone over. Husband, are you acquainted with God's son Mo Fenghua? Otherwise, why would he save you and be so generous? Why would he make us wait here? Venerable Tyrant Blood's wife was very intelligent. She could see that Su Fong's actions were unusual. Venerable Tyrant Blood was extremely confused. He smiled bitterly. How could a small mercenary like me know such a peerless figure? In the myriad of worlds, a small mercenary like Venerable Tyrant Blood was like an ant. He had a low status and lived a life of licking blood from the edge of a blade. Su Fong was currently the #1 godson of the Star Billow Divine Realm. In the Star Billow Divine Realm, aside from a few great elders, no one could compare to him. Furthermore, Su Fong would represent the Star Billow Divine Realm in the Star Fields Godson competition. His future achievements would not be limited to the Star Billow Divine Realm. The difference in status between the two was like the difference between heaven and earth. Venerable Tyrant Blood racked his brains, but he could not figure out why Su Fong would help him. That's really strange. Let's not worry about him first. With this money from Godson Mo Fenghua, our child's strange poison can be cured. I also don't have to be a mercenary anymore and make you worry all day. We must remember Godson Mo Fenghua's life-saving grace forever. While they were talking, a black-clothed man walked into the room. This black-clothed man was wearing a bronze mask. His face could not be seen clearly, but he had a pair of blood-red eyes. His entire body was emitting a cold, evil aura and a thick smell of blood. When the black-clothed man walked into the room, Venerable Tyrant Blood and his wife felt their hearts palpitate. It was as if their souls were frozen. Venerable Tyrant Blood trembled. You are... The black-clothed man's figure flashed and appeared beside Venerable Tyrant Blood's wife. He reached out and grabbed the child in her arms. What are you doing? Venerable Tyrant Blood's divine light instantly changed as he pounced towards the black-clothed man like a wild beast. An evil and cold divine might swept out from the black-clothed man's body and enveloped Venerable Tyrant Blood. Venerable Tyrant Blood felt as if the blood in his body had solidified. He had a feeling that as long as this black-clothed man willed it, he would immediately turn into a pool of blood. Poison? I like it, but it's a pity that it's too weak. The black-clothed man's eyes flashed with an evil blood-red light as his gaze swept across the child. He then chuckled and licked the corner of his mouth with his blood-red tongue, causing Venerable Tyrant Blood and his wife's hair to stand on end. Next, the black-clothed man stretched out his right hand and placed it on the child's heart. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A strand of black silk with a fishy smell flew out from the child's heart and drilled into the black-clothed man's hand, disappearing without a trace. The black chi on the child's face rapidly faded at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, it disappeared without a trace. The child, who was originally in a state of deep sleep, suddenly cried out. Venerable Tyrant Blood and his wife fell into ecstasy as hot tears streamed down their faces. Their child had been schemed against by an enemy and had been poisoned. Even after exhausting all their wealth, they still couldn't cure it. In the end, they found an extremely powerful expert who agreed to treat their child, but he demanded 1,000,000 divine jades. Venerable Tyrant Blood had taken a risk and entered a ruin, risking his life to obtain a mid-rank divine artifact. He had finally found a glimmer of hope. They hadn't expected that the poison that had left so many experts helpless would be so easily eradicated by this black-robed man. How could the Tyrant Blood Venerable and his wife not be overjoyed? The black-clothed man handed the child to Venerable Tyrant Blood's wife, then took out a storage ring from his hand and handed it to Venerable Tyrant Blood. "This is from my father. He wants you to leave the star below God realm and find a place to cultivate in peace. In the future, you don't have to work as a mercenary to earn money." Venerable Tyrant Blood separated a wisp of his consciousness and entered the storage ring. He was immediately shocked. Inside the storage ring, there were 10,000 mid-rank divine essence pills, a mid-rank divine artifact, and cultivation methods and divine abilities suitable for him. The peak-rank flying sword that Su Fong had bought for 2,000,000 divine jades was also inside. Venerable Tyrant Blood stammered, This. Why did God's son, Mo Fenghua, give me such good fortune?" The black-clothed man said indifferently, "Father said that when an old friend is in trouble, helping is the right thing to do. He told you not to think too much about it. You will understand in the future." After saying that, the black-clothed man's figure flashed and disappeared from the room without a trace. Old friend. Venerable Tyrant Blood was dumbfounded. His wife was also shocked. "Husband, you're actually old friends with God's son, Mo Fenghua." "How could I be old friends with God's son, Mo Fenghua?" Venerable Tyrant Blood shook his head. Then he thought of the black-clothed man's evil aura and his shocking method of detoxification. A light flashed through Venerable Tyrant Blood's mind. "It's him?" Chapter 1964. From the aura and methods of the black-clothed man, Venerable Tyrant Blood judged that this mysterious and evil black-clothed man was Su Fong's subordinate, Shui Gui. In all the worlds, only Su Fong could be called an old friend. Mo Fenghua is Su Fong. I didn't expect that Su Fong could escape the pursuit of a supreme expert in the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. In less than 100,000 years, Su Fong ascended to become the #1 godchild in the star below divine world. A peerless figure in the great world is still outstanding in all the worlds. When Su Fong was in the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, I didn't help him when he was in a life-and-death situation. Not only did he not hate me, but he also showed me great kindness. Venerable Tyrant Blood's heart was in turmoil. He ascended to the worlds with Su Fong's help. In the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, Su Fong was almost suppressed by Shinja Tianjun. Venerable Tyrant Blood escaped alone and didn't help him. At this time, Su Fong was helping him, which made Venerable Tyrant Blood feel extremely guilty. At the same time, Venerable Tyrant Blood also realized that Su Fong asked Gui to detoxify his child and gave him elixirs, cultivation methods, and treasures. It meant that their fate had come to an end. If I had helped him in the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, Su Fong would definitely have recognized me and not just given me these treasures. If I had followed him, I would have had a chance to become a peerless expert in all the worlds. Thinking of this, Venerable Tyrant Blood's heart was filled with deep regret. Tongbao Chamber of Commerce. Jiang Baozhen personally went to the door to welcome Su Fong and led him to the VIP room. After some pleasantries, Su Fong asked, "Young Master Jiang, did you say that you have news of the Heaven Lord of Chaos and the Divine Phoenix ancient clan?" Bai Ling was currently in his inner world. The reason why Su Fong asked this question was because he didn't want Jiang Baozhen to be suspicious. In addition, he was also very curious about the chaotic Heaven Monarch and wanted to take this opportunity to inquire about him. Both the Chaos Heaven Lord and the Divine Phoenix ancient clan are very mysterious. The Tongbao Chamber of Commerce spent a lot of effort to find out some information about them. Jiang Baozhen explained. As it turned out, the Chaos Heaven Monarch was once a great realm master. He had a wild temperament and established a god realm called the Chaos God Realm. As it was located in a plane with chaotic natural energy, very few people in the outside world knew about it. However, the overall strength of the Chaos Divinity and the Chaos Divinity Monarch were extremely powerful. The Chaos Divinity Monarch had once fought against the Starfield's domain lord and remained undefeated. Later on, it was said that the Chaos Heaven Monarch had perished while attempting to break through to a higher realm. The Chaos Divine World had also split into thousands of small realms, becoming the Chaos Divine World in name only. Su Fang had already heard what Jiang Baoxian said from Bai Ling. This information was worthless. Unexpectedly, Jiang Baoxian continued. Just 1,000 years ago, the Chaos Heaven Monarch suddenly appeared again. His temperament was still as wild and unruly as before. Moreover, his strength was far greater than before. It was obvious that he had risen to a higher level. The Chaos Heaven Monarch appeared again. Su Fang was surprised. Bai Ling in his inner world was also surprised. Wasn't the old guy in seclusion? Did he succeed in his breakthrough? Just 1,000 years ago, there was a group of bandits called the Underworld Shark that dominated several starfields. Brother Mo, do you know the Underworld Shark? I'm not too sure. The Underworld Shark is a notorious bandit in countless starfields. Not only do they have a large number of people, but they are also extremely powerful. The Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce has been robbed repeatedly by the Underworld Shark, but there is nothing we can do about them. Jiang Baoxian revealed a look of fear. It is said that the boss of the Underworld Shark is a peerless expert comparable to a domain lord. He is so strong that even the domain lord of the Starfield, where the Star Billow Divine Realm is located, is inferior to him. However, such an expert offended the Chaos Heaven Monarch 1,000 years ago for some unknown reason, which caused the Chaos Heaven Monarch to suddenly appear and fight with the boss of the Underworld Shark. In the end, the Chaos Heaven Monarch killed Underworld Shark in one fell swoop. Many of the bandits under Underworld Shark were also killed, and now they are roaming all over the Starfield. Jiang Baoxian's words shocked Su Fang and Bai Ling. That old guy is actually so powerful. Bai Ling exclaimed. The Chaos Heaven Monarch killed the boss of the Underworld Shark most likely because of you, Sister Bai. It seems that this master of yours values you very much. Su Fang exclaimed and was also very happy. The more powerful the Chaos Heaven Monarch was, the more he valued Bai Ling. With such a peerless expert protecting Bai Ling in the future, he would naturally get whatever he wanted. As for the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan, the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce has also found out some information. I don't know if it will be useful to Brother Mo, Jiang Baoxian then slowly told Su Fang some information about the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan. The Four Divine Beasts Ancient Clan was an extremely powerful and mysterious clan in the myriad worlds. They had lived in the ancient god world for generations and were mysterious and unfathomable. They rarely interacted with the outside world. The ancient god world was a higher god world than the U-Starfield. Without the strength of a domain lord, it was impossible to enter the ancient god world. Fortunately, the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce was quite influential in the ancient god world and had more or less found out about the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan. After chatting with Jiang Baoxian, Su Fang finally found out some information about Fairy Xuanqin. In the past 100,000 years, a peerless genius had risen in the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan. Her name was Phoenix Xuanqin. It was said that she had the ancient and pure true body of the Ice Phoenix. She had been carefully cultivated by the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan. In less than 100,000 years, she had already surpassed the Divine Emperor realm. Phoenix Xuanqin? She has the true body of the Ice Phoenix. She must be Xuanqin. I didn't expect Xuanqin to have such achievements in just 100,000 years. She has surpassed me by far. The Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan has an ancient inheritance. Xuanqin has entered the Divine Phoenix Ancient Clan. Her improvement will definitely surpass that of ordinary gods. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. Looks like I have to catch up. Su Fang was shocked. He was happy for Xuanqin, but also a little depressed. Fairy Xuanxin had surpassed him again. In addition, Xuanxin had changed her name to Phoenix Xuanxin, which made Su Fong feel a little uncomfortable. Su Fong finally got news about Xuanxin and met Bai Ling again. His heart was completely at ease. Seeing that Su Fong was deep in thought, Jiang Baozhen said with a smile, "Phoenix Xuanxin is so talented. Only a peerless genius like Brother Mo can be a match for her." Su Fong chuckled. "If I have the chance to meet Phoenix Xuanxin, I will definitely pursue her and make her my cultivation partner." Jiang Baozhen laughed. Of course, he took Su Fong's words as a joke. In fact, in his heart, he definitely didn't think that Su Fong was qualified to be a match for Phoenix Xuanxin. A peerless genius carefully cultivated by the Divine Phoenix ancient clan and the first Divine Prince of Xinglan were nothing. "Brother Mo, I invited you here this time because I have something to ask you." Jiang Baozhen looked at Su Fong with a gleam in his deep eyes. "A peerless treasure of mine was stolen by a dog slave. Brother Mo, do you know the whereabouts of this treasure?" Su Fong froze and then smiled faintly. "Young Master Jiang, are you talking about the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle?" "That's right. It is in my hands." When Su Fong had killed Ancestor Hongxing, he had disguised himself as a cloaked immortal and lured Jiang Baozhen and his masters away. Jiang Baozhen already knew that the mysterious cloaked immortal who had stolen the primitive Dao fruit and Dao tree in the primitive ruins was Su Fong in disguise. He must have suspected that the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle had fallen into Su Fong's hands. During the finals of the Divine Prince competition, Su Fong had used the Tianyin mystery solution at the peak of the Trial Mountain and attracted the power of the Thunder Punishment. In order to avoid the Thunder Punishment Divine Tribulation, Su Fong had only borrowed the power of the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle and did not take out the divine artifact. However, Jiang Baozhen had still noticed some clues. It was not strange that Jiang Baozhen had determined that the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle was in Su Fong's hands. Since he could not deny it, Su Fong might as well admit it. Jiang Baozhen stood up and cupped his fists. "The sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle is my family's heirloom. I hope Brother Mo can return it. I am willing to exchange a peak supreme-grade divine artifact for it." "Family heirloom?" Su Fong showed a mocking expression. Since when did the Golden Rainbow Monarch become his ancestor? Jiang Baozhen knew that he could not hide it from Su Fong. His face immediately darkened, and he threatened, "It seems that Brother Mo knows the origin and use of the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle. I will not beat around the bush. This is related to the Golden Rainbow Monarch's treasure. How can I let the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle fall into your hands? You have to hand it over even if you don't want to." "I have no intention of handing over a treasure that has already fallen into my hands." Su Fong smiled faintly. "If young Master Jiang really wants to take back the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle, you definitely won't ask me for it directly. Instead, you'll call the experts of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce to suppress me. Stop acting. If you have something to say, just say it." Although Su Fong's actual age was much younger than Jiang Baozhen's, he had experienced countless storms in the small and large worlds. What had he not experienced? He was even more astute than those old monsters who had lived for countless years. How could he not see through Jiang Baozhen's thoughts? "I didn't expect Brother Mo's eyes to be so sharp." Jiang Baozhen was like a punctured balloon as he smiled helplessly. "Since that is the case, I will get straight to the point." Jiang Baozhen did not hide anything. "The sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle is a treasure that I accidentally obtained. Later on, after in-depth investigation, I found out that this treasure is related to the Golden Rainbow Monarch's treasure. The Golden Rainbow Monarch is a great bandit who roams the major star regions. How shocking is his treasure! Although I rely on the power of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce and have some power in the Star Billow God realm, how could I have the strength to search for treasures in the primal chaos? Moreover, this is related to a supreme divine artifact like the piercing sun golden rainbow. If news of this leaks out, I won't be able to survive even if I have 10 lives, let alone keep the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle. Since the sky-breaking flying rainbow shuttle has fallen into Brother Mo's hands, then it is Brother Mo's good fortune. I definitely have no intention of taking it back. However, I have a suggestion. How about we work together to search for the golden rainbow monarch's treasure? When he said this, Jiang Baojian's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Su Fang. Work together to search for treasures. Chapter 1965. The Golden Rainbow King was a famous bandit. The broken world he left behind in the primal chaos contained not only the divine creation artifact, the piercing sun golden rainbow, but also the countless treasures and wealth he had accumulated throughout his life. Especially the divine creation artifact, the piercing sun golden rainbow. With such a divine artifact, one could roam freely across the universe. With Su Fang's current strength, it was almost impossible for him to find the Golden Rainbow King's broken world in the primal chaos void, let alone enter it to search for treasures. Moreover, even if Su Fang had the strength, he did not have the energy and time. Jiang Baojian was different. He could find the Golden Rainbow King's broken world through the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. In this way, Su Fang did not need to personally search for the Golden Rainbow King's broken world in the primal chaos void. After thinking for a while, Su Fang said slowly, "It's not impossible to work together, but if we really enter the Golden Rainbow King's broken world, how will the treasures be distributed? There are a total of 3 tokens to enter the Golden Rainbow King's broken world. I already know the whereabouts of the other 2. When the time comes, it will definitely not be just the 2 of us. There will be other experts entering together. It's too early to say how the treasures will be distributed. However, there is one thing I can guarantee, Brother Emo. As long as we enter the Golden Rainbow King's broken world, I will do my best to help Brother Emo obtain the piercing sun golden rainbow. As for the other treasures, we will divide them equally. What do you think, Brother Emo?" Jiang Baojian's conditions were reasonable, so Su Fang readily agreed. Next, Su Fang, accompanied by Jiang Baojian, went on a shopping spree in the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. This time, Su Fang could be said to have a bountiful harvest. However, although the various treasures were good, the prices were also extremely shocking. Su Fang had also used up more than half of the 10 million mid-grade medicinal pills that he was awarded in the Godson competition. This was something that could not be helped. Su Fang cultivated various cultivation methods, divine abilities, and true body. In addition to the resources needed for the cultivation of his subordinates, it was simply like an unfilled, bottomless pit. This was the reason why it was difficult for cultivators of humble origins to grow into experts without the support of a large force. Talent was the foundation of a cultivator's cultivation. Without the support of abundant cultivation resources, even heaven-defying talent was useless. After leaving the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, he brought the 2 elders, Quan Lin and Quan Jun, back to the Star Billow God Realm's secret realm. The Star Billow Realm Lord had already arranged a secret realm for Su Fang to cultivate in. A high-ranking member of the Star Billow God Realm brought Su Fang to the back of the secret realm. Mo Fenghua, this is the place that the Realm Lord has specially arranged for you. This is the token. The higher-ups handed a token to Su Fang, then flew away. If there's nothing else, we brothers will return to the training hall first. Feel free to contact us if you need anything, Quan Lin said to Su Fang in embarrassment. Even though the brothers had been ordered to protect Su Fang, it was impossible for them to stay by Su Fang's side at all times. This place was the core of the Star Billow God Realm, so there was no need for them to fear that someone would sneak in and harm Su Fang. Thank you for your trouble. After the Quan brothers left, Su Fang activated the token. The space in front of him suddenly distorted and enveloped Su Fang. Then, he was pulled into a distorted formation. The formation kept jumping, and when everything returned to normal, Su Fang arrived at a small independent plane created from the natural void. This was the secret realm that the Star Billow God Realm's special disciples cultivated in. When he focused his eyes, he saw that this place was a 1,000 kilometers wide object. Mountains and forests were everywhere, and the natural spirit energy of heaven and earth was abnormally abundant. Su Fang could even sense the pure world energy of the Star Billow God Realm. The secret realm was imperceptibly protected by layers of formations. The cultivation environment here could be called the best in the entire Star Billow God realm, so there's no need to worry about anyone disturbing them. Su Fong released by Ling, Qing Yu, and many of his subordinates from his inner world. Even Huang Lingyao, Zhu Yan, and Yu Miaomei were let out for a breath of fresh air. Being cut off from a natural world for a long time was not good for their cultivation. Brother, this is your secret realm? It's really not bad. As expected of my brother, you can do well even in a myriad of worlds. Bai Ling cheered and pulled Yu Miaomei to fly to a green mountain and clear water. Qing Yu and his other subordinates were also arranged by Su Fong to various places. They built their own cave abodes and settled into a state of cultivation. Su Fong, I didn't expect you to have such shocking achievements after ascending to the myriad of worlds. Huang Lingyao looked at Su Fong with shock and other complicated emotions in her eyes. Huang Lingyao's current cultivation level was close to that of a demigod, which was equivalent to the mortal evolution state among mortals in a myriad of worlds. However, her strength was much stronger than a mortal evolution state in the god realm. Su Fong planned to wait for Huang Lingyao to become a god before leaving. The world was vast, and she could do whatever she wanted. With this woman's scheming and talent, she would definitely be able to make a name for herself in the myriad of worlds. However, Su Fong wasn't worried that she would pose any threat. Su Fong, you're indeed the man who took my virginity. Huang Lingyao smiled at Su Fong. Su Fong couldn't help but be stunned. He smiled bitterly and touched the tip of his nose. Luo laughed loudly in his body again. Huang Lingyao strode toward the mountain peak. With her current strength, she still couldn't fly. If it weren't for the formation protection outside the secret realm, even the natural shackles of the myriad of worlds wouldn't be able to withstand it. Looking at Huang Lingyao's proud but graceful figure, Su Fong thought of the past. He shook his head and smiled. Then, he formed a seal, and the shadow of Huang Lingyao's primordial spirit condensed from the Xianguang in his palm. Fenghua, have you stayed in the secret realm that the realm lord arranged for you? Don't worry and cultivate. Grandfather will take care of things outside for you. You don't need to be distracted. The Battle of Kamiko Hoshino had just ended. The people of Kuan Su's divine sect were still living on the mountain peak. Naturally, Xianlingzi was the one who helped Su Fong receive the guests for various forces. Looking at Xianlingzi's glowing face, he was obviously proud of his success and elated. Thank you, grandfather. Su Fong felt somewhat guilty towards Xianlingzi. He had been hesitating when to tell him the truth. It's my grandson's marriage. As a grandfather, it's nothing. Grandfather, wait. What marriage are you talking about? Xianlingzi's words shocked Su Fongda. He quickly interrupted Xianlingzi. It's not a big deal. It's just that some of the higher-ups of the Star Billow God realm, as well as other forces and important figures of small worlds, want to marry their women to you. Su Fong's scalp went numb. Grandfather, you agreed? They all prepared generous gifts and personally came to propose marriage. Moreover, grandfather saw that each of those women were outstanding beauties. How could I have the nerve to refuse? Boom! Su Fong's head seemed to explode with thunder, shocking him until he was dumbstruck. With great difficulty, Su Fong calmed his breathing and asked, What's the woman's name? What's her cultivation? What's her background? Xianlingzi revealed a troubled expression. There are a total of 75 women. Which one are you asking about? Su Fong staggered and almost fell to the ground. Grandfather, if you found 75 Dao companions for me? Not only that, there will definitely be many who will come to propose marriage. As long as the gifts are generous enough and the woman's appearance is passable, I will reluctantly accept her as my granddaughter-in-law. Su Fong almost fainted from anger. Grandfather, you're simply too absurd. Absurd, Xianlingzi chuckled. Do you think I don't know what kind of character you have? You stole the underwear of the female disciples of Kuan Su's divine sect and flirted with others behind my back. Now that you've become Kamiko Hoshino, can you still change your character? Su Fong was suddenly speechless. Moreover, these big shots who came to propose marriage are not stupid at all. They just saw that you're about to soar to the sky and took this opportunity to climb up to you. As for whether you and their women become Tao companions or have intercourse, they don't care. I took the opportunity to get a lot of benefits for you. This is called mutual consent, you know? Xianlingzi was also a shrewd old man. He saw the intentions of these big shots at a glance. Of course, if you can give birth to a boy or a girl with these women, that's even better. These children have your bloodline, and their cultivation talent must be amazing. These big shots even promised that as long as they have children in the future, they will be the heirs of their families. Think about it. More than 70 families will fall into your control in the future. Where can you find such a good thing? This time, it can be said that you've gained both wealth and women. How about it? I'm smart enough, right? Xianlingzi beamed with joy and was very proud. The shadow of his primordial spirit also dissipated. Su Fong imagined the terrifying scene of more than 70 Tao companions. His whole body felt cold, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. At this time, when Luo spoke, of course, it wouldn't be anything good. Good, this is great. Su Fong, I congratulate you in advance. Mo Fenghua is a womanizer by nature. I couldn't find the original reason. After a long time, the original reason is Xianlingzi. Su Fong was speechless and smiled bitterly. Su Fong put aside the matter of marriage and let Xianlingzi do whatever he wanted. Anyway, it was already like this. It didn't matter if he had more Tao companions. Su Fong closed the secret realm. He found a mountain and opened up a cave. He entered the cave to settle down and entered a state of cultivation. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 years had passed. Su Fong had been cultivating in seclusion in the time cave for more than 3,000 years. In the continuous cultivation and settling down, Su Fong's strength was constantly improving. Not only were some of the drawbacks caused by the rapid improvement in the Battle of the God Sun were all eliminated by Su Fong, the divine origin in his divine dwelling was also constantly stepping into the peak of the 8th heaven of the heavenly God realm and was about to step into the 9th heaven. The cultivation of the world was also rapidly improving. At this time, Su Fong's ability to control the world was even surpassing the middle-level divine emperor. The small world in his body was also constantly changing. Chapter 1966. Su Fong began to use the 9 Yang 9 transformations to attack the 59th Yang meridian. Even the power of the yin-yang world of the world tree poured into this meridian. A wave of tsunami-like impact made the Yang meridian even more like a jade meridian. More than a year later, the 59th meridian finally calmed down from the burning Yang energy flames and turned into a jade-like Yang meridian. The newly born Yang meridian quickly approached the yin-yang Tao wheel. At the end of the 58th Yang meridian, the tail connected and became a part of the yin-yang Tao wheel. The birth of another Yang meridian means that I'm one step closer to the 7th transformation. My strength has also increased, and my ability to control the origin sacred mirror has also increased. Su Fong wiped the sweat off his head and revealed a joyful smile. Then, Su Fong continued to devour pills and spiritual items to cultivate the 9 Yang 9 transformations to replenish the Yang energy consumed by the birth of the 59th Yang meridian. When the Yang meridian calmed down, Su Fong returned to the time and space cave abode. His body quickly transformed into the Yellow Springs blood sea state, and Su Fong's physical body condensed in the blood water. These were all Su Fong's blood water clones. Each clone looked exactly the same as the original body, which meant that their main cultivation methods and divine abilities were different, and the aura they exuded was completely different. Next, Su Fong crazily devoured pills and spiritual items, including the spiritual liquid concocted by the creation saint pill, the blood crystal containing majestic vitality, and the fire type and pure yang energy spiritual items. At this time, Su Fong mainly cultivated the 9 Yang 9 transformations, Heaven's secret life shrinking technique, Heaven's divination mystery, and the great Tao of time, Night Demon's undying soul code. He also persisted in cultivating the illusory fire cloud, ethereal truth, and Yellow Springs reincarnation art. As for the cultivation methods and divine abilities that he cultivated in the Kuan Su divine realm, Su Fang no longer continued to cultivate Black Lotus true body, dragons subduing true body, and other true bodies. Su Fang relied on constantly devouring various spiritual items to transform his true body's physique. As a result, not only did the physique of his true body become stronger, but the world tree was also growing stronger. In addition, he continued to cultivate with the power of the world, and his ability to control the world, as well as the world in his body, was constantly improving. Su Fang was also in the process of further integration of various magic treasures. With the purple Chi Dharma spirit's ability to control magic treasures, coupled with its supernatural powers, it could unleash extraordinary power. This time, Su Fang settled down for another 100 years. He had cultivated in the time immortals abode for 1,000 years. During this period, Huang Lingyao finally succeeded in passing the primal chaos divine tribulation. Su Fang sent his subordinates to the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce and exchanged a chaos Dao fruit for a high-grade, earth-level godhead for her to fuse with. When Huang Lingyao's cultivation stabilized at the first sky of true God realm, Su Fang gave her the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword, as well as some resources. The Cloud Sky Lightning Sword was one of the famous 10 Great Dao artifacts in the Great World, but had already lost its use in the myriad worlds. However, the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword hid the consciousness of Mother Yun's primordial spirit. Huang Lingyao deeply hated Mother Yun, so Su Fang naturally wanted to give her the Cloud Sky Lightning Sword. Su Fang, I won't thank you. I hope to see you reach the peak of the myriad worlds just like you did in the small world and great world. Before leaving, Huang Lingyao said coldly, "The God realm is dangerous. Take care of yourself." Su Fang sent one of his subordinates to escort Huang Lingyao out of the Star Billow God realm's secret realm, all the way to the realm-crossing stargate of the Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, and watch her go to the other God realms. After Huang Lingyao left, Su Fang's heart suddenly felt empty. From the small world's celestial ceiling gate all the way to the great world, the two of them had endless grievances. After parting like this, they would never have the chance to meet again, which made Su Fang feel somewhat uncomfortable. At this time, Law said faintly, "You have more than 100 Dao companions now, and you don't lack Huang Lingyao. Why are you still a bit reluctant after Huang Lingyao left?" "Law, you're starting to be indecent again." Su Fang's mood was somewhat inexplicably low, and he was not in a mood to joke with Law. At the mention of Dao companions, Su Fang was very depressed. Just as Su Fang was cultivating in seclusion, Xian Lingzi actually agreed to many marriage alliances, causing Su Fang's Dao companions to reach an astonishing 108. At this time, in the Star Billow Divine Realm, Su Fang's good reputation of being greedy for beauty had long been spread. Some people snorted at it, some said Su Fang was licentious, and some thought that a peerless genius should be like this. Of course, Su Fang did not know what people were saying, and he definitely did not plan to take these 100 or so women as his Dao companions. When the time came, he would just directly run away. However, the heavy gifts that Xian Lingzi accepted were all accepted by Su Fang. At this time, Su Fang's wealth was not even comparable to some of the great elders of the Star Billow Divine Realm. However, Su Fang's expenses were also incomparably shocking. Even if he had a mountain of resources, sooner or later, he would run out of resources. Cultivation knew no time. With the passage of time, Su Fang had already cultivated in the secret realm for nearly 1,000 years. During this time, Bai Ling successfully broke through the bottleneck, and now her strength had surpassed the heavenly God realm. Moreover, she had the Chaos Ring, and after ascending to the myriad realms, she had obtained the Chaos Path divine ability from the Chaos Heaven Monarch. At this time, her true strength was no longer comparable to that of an ordinary lower divine emperor. The one who improved the fastest was still Qingyu. His strength was now catching up to Su Fang, and in addition to his innate ability, besides Su Fang, his strength was second only to Bai Ling, Undead Monarch, Sunflower Mermaid, Fire Lizard, and the dozen or so experts that he had subdued in the Suiyu Cave also improved by leaps and bounds. However, compared to Bai Ling and Qingyu, they were still far behind Gui Ge and Long Yao. After Yu Miaomei, Zhu Yin, and Zizhan consumed the Chaos Dao fruit. Their improvement was also incomparably shocking, but there was still a big gap between them and the divine realm. After a long period of consolidation, Su Fong broke through the shackles of the peak 8th Heavenly God realm, stepped into the 9th Heavenly God realm, and quickly stabilized to his normal state. Only by reaching the Divine Emperor realm can I show my talent in the Starfield's Godchild competition. My current strength is still far from enough. The Starfield's Godchild competition would gather the peerless geniuses of the entire Starfield. Although it was impossible for all of them to be peerless geniuses like Bai Holan and Song Jie, one could imagine how intense the competition would be. There were still 9,000 years before the Starfield's Godchild competition. If Su Fong only relied on secluded cultivation, it was obviously not enough. Moreover, Su Fong found that the method of consuming elixirs and spiritual items to improve his cultivation was gradually slowing down. Fortunately, Su Fong had a perfect physical body and cultivated the Fire Cloud Emperor physique at the same time, so he could refine all the remaining impurities in the body of elixirs and spiritual items. Otherwise, just these remaining impurities alone were enough to make it difficult for a god to cultivate in the future. This was the disadvantage of relying on resources to improve one's cultivation. When I reach the peak of the 9th Heavenly God realm, I need to go out to experience and look for fortuitous encounters and opportunities. Only then can I quickly improve my cultivation and make up for my lack of cultivation. Su Fong made up his mind and once again settled into his cultivation state. On this day, suddenly, a rune in his body stirred. When he took it out to take a look, Xian Lingzi's voice sounded. Fenghua, I'm going to attend the banquet again. I reckon you'll have another Dao companion. Of course, I'll also give you a generous gift. You brat, you've been in seclusion for so long. It's time for you to come out and take a look at your more than 100 beautiful Dao companions. If you can give birth to hundreds or thousands of grandchildren for me, I didn't dote on you for nothing. You really think I'm a pig? Su Fong smiled helplessly and put away the rune in a depressed manner. More than 10 days later, Quan Lin, who was sent by the Star Billow Realm Lord to protect Su Fong, directly sent a voice transmission from outside the secret realm. Mo Fenghua, Piercing Metal specially asked me to bring you something. He said it's very important and asked me to give it to you immediately. Piercing Metal. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and reached out. A storage ring was caught in his hand. A wisp of essence, spirit, consciousness slowly entered the storage ring. The storage ring was empty, with only a wooden box and a jade slip inside. Taking out the wooden box and opening it, Su Fong's divine light instantly changed. It turned out that there was a palm in the wooden box. There were still traces of blood on it, and the remaining life aura belonged to Xian Lingzi. Su Fong grabbed the jade slip and poured his magic power into it. The jade slip quickly melted and turned into a phantom of piercing metal, and a cold voice came out. Mo Fenghua, Xian Lingzi is a guest at Lanhao Training Hall. If you don't come in 3 days, then wait to collect his corpse. Remember, you can only come alone. You can't tell anyone else, or else you'll have to bear the consequences. Boom! A burst of flame power exploded, and the phantom of piercing metal disappeared. Piercing metal, you deserve to die. Su Fong gritted his teeth, and his eyes burned with a shocking flame that was more than a foot long. Although Xian Lingzi wasn't a real relative, after so many years together, Su Fong had long regarded him as his grandfather. Piercing metal dared to capture Xian Lingzi in the secret realm of the Star Billow Divine Realm and use his life as a hostage. How could Su Fong not be angry? Luo reminded. Piercing metal is one of the top special disciples in the Star Billow Divine Realm. He's definitely not an ordinary person, but he did such a crazy thing without considering the consequences. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Be careful of traps. Luo, I understand. Even if it's a mountain of blades or a sea of flames, I have to go this time. Su Fong's body emitted a terrifying, murderous aura that quickly spread throughout the secret realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Qing Yu, Bai Ling, and the other subordinates all gathered and were taken into Su Fong's body. Su Fong passed through the formation, flew out of the secret realm, and headed for Lan Hao Training Hall. Lan Hao Training Hall was one of the many training halls in the Star Billow Divine Realm, and it was also Piercing Metal's training hall. After flying for more than 2 hours in the inner world of the Star Billow Divine Realm, Su Fong came to a void filled with rolling clouds. Piercing Metal, I'm here. Open the barrier. Su Fong roared angrily at the clouds, and his voice caused the clouds to roll violently. You're not slow. I thought you wouldn't dare to come. Piercing Metal's proud voice came from the depths of the clouds. Then, the clouds condensed into a formation passage, and Su Fong stepped into it without hesitation. Chapter 1967. Su Fong recovered from the discomfort caused by the teleportation formation. When he looked carefully, he saw a vast blue ocean in front of him. The waves were turbulent and vast, and a wave of water element natural force rushed toward him. On the ocean, there were small islands floating. Palaces, pavilions, and forests covered the islands. Lan Hao Dojo. The entire dojo was a vast ocean. It wasn't naturally formed, but an oceanic world created by a supreme divine ability. Su Fong activated his great perfection ability, and at the same time, he used the life-shrinking technique to sense Xian Lingzi's aura. Sure enough, Su Fong sensed Xian Lingzi's aura in the depths of the ocean. Although it was a little chaotic, it seemed to be fine. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Su Fong also sensed a few very familiar auras on the island where Xian Lingzi was. Piercing Metal, Bai Shun, Zhou Kuanga, Xia Qijuan, Ji Xingyue, and a middle-level divine emperor of the fifth sky of the divine emperor realm. After Xia Qijuan was expelled from Kuan Su's divine sect, Su Fong did not take him seriously. He did not expect that he would jump out at this time and join forces with Piercing Metal and the others. And Ji Xingyue, he did not give up. So it's Xia Qijuan and Ji Xingyue who ordered Piercing Metal and Bai Shun to kill me. It's unlikely to be Xia Qijuan. He doesn't have the power. Only Ji Xingyue, who has the powerful Ji people behind him, is qualified to order Piercing Metal and the others. They obviously want to use my grandfather as bait and try to kill me. How can I, Su Fong, let you do as you wish? Su Fong's deep eyes exuded a trace of coldness. Piercing Metal and the others were not a concern. Only the middle-level divine emperor that Su Fong was afraid of. But Su Fong was fearless. No matter what the other party's conspiracy was, the only way was to kill a bloody path and save Xian Lingzi. A shadow of Piercing Metal's nascent spirit appeared in front of him. Piercing Metal, you took my family. Aren't you afraid that the Realm Lord will find out and punish you severely? Su Fong let out a thunderous shout. The immortal soul of Piercing Metal smiled coldly and embarrassedly. Mo Fenghua, you must have misunderstood. I invited Senior Xian Lingzi here with no ill intentions. No malice? Not bad. You're number one in the Kamiko Hoshino battle. Not just me, but many other Kamiko Hoshino and special disciples admire you. That's why they want to ask you for advice. Piercing Metal's soul revealed a mocking expression. Soon after, he smiled and said, however, when I challenged you, you repeatedly avoided the battle and refused to teach me. Thus, I discussed with the others and came up with this plan. We tried to invite Senior Xian Lingzi to bring you here so that you can teach us. Su Fong said with a murderous look, I won't let you down. I'll teach you well. You chopped off one of my grandfather's hands, so I use your limbs to pay for it. If anything happens to him, I'll make you and everyone else who participated in this matter pay with their lives. That's good. I'll wait and see. The immortal soul of Piercing Metal sneered disdainfully. His consciousness disappeared, and the immortal soul dissipated into nothingness. Whoosh! Su Fong controlled the silver-streaked sword and swept across the surface of the sea like a stream of light. His fierce, murderous aura and unstoppable momentum set off a wave. The wave followed his body and extended into the depths of the sea. It was a shocking sight. Deep in the ocean, on an island that was 100 miles wide, there was a magnificent palace that seemed to be made of gold. It was magnificent and domineering. Inside the palace, more than a dozen young elites gathered in front of a jade wall. The scene displayed on the jade wall was the scene of Su Fong entering Lan Hao's dojo. Piercing Metal by Shun, Zhou Kuanga, and the other Star Billow God Realm geniuses, as well as Xia Qijuan and Ji Xingyue, were among them. In the shadow of a corner of the palace, a middle-aged man sat cross-legged. He was dressed in gray, and his aura was empty. His entire person seemed to have merged with the shadows. He was obviously a powerful expert. Piercing Metal, you captured Xianlingzi and lured Mo Fenghua to Lan Hao's dojo. If you really killed him, the higher-ups will investigate. Will there be any problems? Zhou Kuanga asked worriedly. Among the many Kamiko Hoshino geniuses, Zhou Kuanga was the most arrogant and condescending. However, to be able to become a special disciple, not only did he have talent, he also had shrewdness. This time, Piercing Metal had invited many special disciples to deal with Su Fong, saying that he wanted to ruthlessly humiliate him. Apart from Bai Holan, most of the special disciples who had become Star Billow's godsons had participated. Naturally, Zhou Kuanga had agreed without hesitation. Now that things had come to a head, Zhou Kuanga saw that outsiders like Xia Qijuan and Ji Xingyue had also participated. Xia Qijuan even brought a powerful expert. It was obvious that they wanted to kill Su Fong and not just defeat him and humiliate him. Zhou Kuanga faintly felt that something was wrong. This time, he seemed to have been used by Piercing Metal and by Shun. The Starwave Realm Lord valued Su Fong greatly. If something happened to him in Lan Hao's dojo, or even if he was killed, how could the Starwave Realm Lord let the matter rest? A voice filled with resentment sounded. Zhou Kuanga, could it be that you're afraid of that bastard Mo Fenghua? The person who spoke was Bai Shun. His eyes were destroyed by Su Fong's heaven-burning eye, and he couldn't recover them no matter how hard he tried. It was easy to imagine how much resentment he had for Su Fong. Zhou Kuanga's arrogance was revealed. Me? Afraid of Mo Fenghua? He became the #1 god of the Starwave realm through trickery. Why would I be afraid of him? Zhou Kuanga, don't worry. This time, I've invited several hundred special disciples. Just Kamiko Hoshino alone, there are more than 30 of them. Taking care of Mo Fenghua will be easy. Defeat Mo Fenghua and humiliate him. Let the entire Starwave realm and the Realm Lord see that Mo Fenghua, the so-called #1 god, is just a piece of trash. Piercing Metal said domineeringly. After that, Piercing Metal laughed coldly. As for Sir Ji and Sir Xia, their grudges with Mo Fenghua have nothing to do with us. Besides, if Mo Fenghua dies, will the Realm Lord punish us special disciples because of a dead person? The law cannot punish the majority. The Realm Lord still needs us to participate in the Star Field Godchild competition. When the time comes, not only will he not punish us, he will even value us more. Piercing Metal's words made Zhou Kuanga feel a lot more at ease. Mo Fenghua, you little bastard, you're dead for sure this time. Mo Fenghua, even if these Starwave Realm geniuses can't kill you, the soulless expert I brought can easily kill you. It's time for the grudges between you and me to be completely settled. Ji Xingyue and Xia Qijuan looked at Su Fong on the jade wall. Both of their faces were filled with complacency and malevolence. Su Fong flew above the ocean for a dozen breaths. After encountering layers of barriers, he had no choice but to fly toward an island in front of him. A figure slowly rose from the island. It was a young cultivator who looked to be in his 20s. His cultivation was at the first heaven of the Divine Emperor realm, and he was a special disciple of the Starwave realm. I am Ding Qian. I refuse to accept you as the #1 godchild of the Starwave realm, so I challenge you. If you defeat me, you can enter the next island through the spatial formation. If you lose, kowtow 3 times, lick my shoes clean, and get out of the Starwave realm. The special disciple of the Starwave realm shouted domineeringly. Scram! Su Fong roared angrily and charged at Ding Qian with a silver streak sword. Whoosh! When he was still 3,000 meters away from Ding Qian, the silver streak sword under Su Fong's feet shot out. A silver light with sharp sword energy swept toward Ding Qian. At the same time, Su Fang struck out a seal. The aura of the great Tao of Earth enveloped Ding Qian, and the surrounding space immediately fell into a chaotic state of gravity and repulsion. To be able to drive a mid-grade flying sword to such an extent and also grasp the grand Tao law of Earth, he can barely be considered a genius. Relying on this to become the #1 godchild of Xinglan is truly laughable. Ding Qian sneered disdainfully. A mighty aura burst out of him like a tidal wave, shattering Su Fang's Earth Divine aura layer by layer. The silver streak sword was also knocked askew by the endless waves. Su Fang activated the Winged Divine tool, and like a nimble and agile hummingbird, he instantly flew across a distance of thousands of meters. A majestic Earth Elemental Divine might forcefully and tyrannically cut a gap in Ding Qian's divine might, and then he punched out with his fist. Mountain driving art. Boom! The terrifying power, which was like 9 mountains piled on top of each other, along with Su Fang's godbody explosion, crashed toward Ding Qian. Mountain driving art. I was defeated by the mountain driving art. Mo Fenghua, how dare you humiliate me like this? Ding Qian was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. His body was shattered, and he fell into the sea. Mountain driving art is enough for trash like you. Su Fang sneered domineeringly. He put away his silver-streaked sword and flew to the island. He scanned the island with his great perfection ability and found the location of the spatial array. With the help of the spatial array, Su Fang teleported out of the island. When he reappeared, he was already on an island hundreds of thousands of miles away. Another special disciple rushed over. Mo Fenghua, you killed senior brother by Shun. I'm going to... Before this genius could finish his words, he was greeted by an overwhelming, formless fire cloud saber. The terrifying flaming saber light engulfed him. Su Fang took the opportunity to land on the island and teleported to another island behind it through the spatial array. After breaking through more than a dozen islands, Su Fang encountered a strong enemy. They were all special disciples of Kamiko Hoshino. Not only were their cultivations at the low-level god sovereign realm, but the divine abilities and divine artifacts they possessed were not something that ordinary special disciples could compare with. Su Fang no longer conserved his divine essence and magic power. He executed his powerful divine abilities and divine artifacts. Like a hot knife through butter, he charged toward the island where penetrating metal and stone was. He was unstoppable and unstoppable. Mo Fenghua is not a complete trash to be able to obtain the recognition of Lord Zhu Yanjun and Lord Realm Lord. He is qualified for me to take action. Chapter 1968. Just as Zhou Kuanga was about to attack, Ji Xingyue snorted and said, Mo Fenghua has some powerful moves. What he's showing now isn't his true strength. Godson Zhou Kuanga, please wait patiently and figure out his true strength. Piercing Metal sneered, Zhou Kuanga, I prepared many powerful moves for Mo Fenghua this time. Just wait and see. The two of you really think highly of Mo Fenghua. You also have the intention to kill him. Then I'll wait and see how powerful you two are. It'll be best if you don't need me. Zhou Kuanga saw that Ji Xingyue and Piercing Metal wanted to kill Su Fang, so he gave up on the idea of attacking. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang was sent to the sky above an island by a spatial distortion. The moment he appeared, 14 disciples of the star Billow God realm appeared around him. These people were all in the divine Emperor realm. They weren't special disciples of the star Billow God realm, and they were all among the top 100 Kamiko Hoshino. They definitely weren't ordinary special disciples. Mo Fenghua died. More than a dozen Kamiko Hoshino charged at Su Fang. There were also a few geniuses who didn't want to participate in the encirclement because of their status and strength. They just stood there and watched the battle. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang activated the Flying Divine artifact and used the Fire Cloud Steps and the Great Tao of Time at the same time. Relying on his extremely nimble movement and the time difference caused by the Great Tao of Time, he shuttled through the dozen or so geniuses like a fish. These dozen or so Kamiko Hoshino were all powerful, but no one could compare to Su Fang's flying divine artifact and fire cloud steps. Adding on the great Tao of time, they couldn't catch Su Fang's figure at all, and Su Fang was like a ghost. As long as he found an opening, he would immediately launch the fiercest attack at these geniuses. After an incense stick's worth of time, the dozen or so geniuses, except for those who were watching from afar, were all injured. 2 of them were seriously injured and had to withdraw from the battle. Mo Fenghua, fight this god's son. One of the geniuses who was watching the battle from afar couldn't hold back any longer. He shouted coldly, and the other geniuses stepped aside. The prodigy stepped through the air and swept out with a terrifying, surging presence. It stirred up the power of water in the surroundings, gathering it into a shocking wave that crushed toward Su Fang. The shocking pressure and restraining force enveloped Su Fang. You have the strength of the third sky of the godly Emperor layer, and you've mastered the great Tao of water to such an extent. You're not ordinary. You must be in the top 10 of Kamiko Hoshino. When Su Fang's words of praise fell into the ears of this genius, it was the greatest mockery. He immediately exploded with a furious roar. Mo Fenghua, you are truly arrogant to the extreme. I am Sun Howren, ranked 6th among the star-below divine suns. You actually dare to disregard me? Boom! Boom! The terrifying waves swept up, forming a 1,000-foot-tall wave peak, crashing down on Su Fang. It looked like it was about to engulf Su Fang. Frost Seal the Universe. Su Fang activated the divine weapon, Frost Seal the Universe, and a divine power that could freeze the world burst out. Rustle! Rustle! The thick water vapor in the surroundings quickly condensed into ice shards and icicles that fell down. Sun Howren's terrifying water divine power was quickly frozen and frozen under the divine power of Frost Seal the Universe. Frost Seal the Universe was a supreme-grade divine weapon that Su Fang had taken from Mo Yuntian. After so many years of fusion, in addition to the Purple Chi Dharma Spirit's supreme ability to control divine weapons, the power of Frost Seal the Universe was now more than 70%. Moreover, Frost Seal the Universe's ability ingeniously restrained water divine powers, suppressing Sun Howren's astonishing attack. Whoosh! Su Fang's body suddenly burst into flames like a man on fire. He burned a path through the frozen waves and rushed towards Sun Howren. The first divine sun is indeed extraordinary. It seems that everyone has underestimated your strength. Let me have a taste of your true strength. 10,000 waves peak, suppress. Layers of wave-like aura surged out of Sun Howren's body and gathered in his right arm. Then, he threw a punch at Su Fang, who was close to him. Natal form. Su Fang merged the power of his subordinates into his body through the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Then, like Sun Howren, he threw a punch. Rumble. The collision between the two incomparably tyrannical forces caused an earth-shattering commotion. Kamiko Hoshino, who was around, was shaken by the force of the impact. It was difficult for him to stay in the air. Under the impact of the violent energy, the protective formations of the island below were broken layer by layer. The island shook and almost sank. The seawater surged to both sides, forming a 1,000-foot-tall wave that rolled out. The power of the collision between experts in the divine Emperor realm was terrifying. Su Fang seemed to have been hit by the stormy waves. His entire right arm was broken, his flesh and bones were broken. His divine body was also badly injured. His internal organs were severely injured. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood with pieces of his internal organs. He immediately swallowed a recovery elixir and activated the nether blood sea in his body. At the same time, he also activated the Black Lotus real body and the Dragon Subduing real body. The Dragon Subduing real body, in particular, had absorbed a large amount of divine dragon blood chi and dragon chi in the trial peak. Thus, Su Fang's recovery ability had reached an astonishing level. It only took 3 or 4 breaths of time. Su Fang's injuries were not serious to begin with. Now he had recovered to his peak state. More than a dozen Kamiko Hoshino wanted to take advantage of the situation. However, They did not expect Su Fong to recover in such a short time. They were all shocked and stepped back. Looking at Sun Howren, he was also seriously injured. His right fist had completely disappeared in the collision. His body was full of cracks and blood splattered everywhere. Mo Fenghua, you are really strong. I, Sun Howren, am no match for you. You are qualified to be the first divine son of Xinglan. Let's go. Sun Howren was a straightforward person. Knowing that he was no match for Su Fong, he immediately flew to the island with the 6 special disciples. Although the other Kamiko Hoshino were not convinced, they knew that it was impossible for them to stop Su Fong. They could only leave resentfully. When Piercing Metal and the others saw this scene, the palace suddenly fell into a short silence. After the Kamiko Hoshino conference, many people were not convinced of Su Fong because Bai Holan did not win the title of the first divine son. Under the deliberate exaggeration of some people, the impression was that Su Fong won the title of the first divine son by cheating and Zhu Yanjun's favoritism. As for his true strength, he could not withstand a single blow. No one expected that Sun Howren, who was ranked 6th among the Kamiko Hoshino, would not be able to withstand a single blow from Su Fong. Moreover, Su Fong's astonishing recovery ability also shocked everyone in the palace. The trash that I trampled under my feet and bullied at my will has grown to such an astonishing level in less than 100,000 years. Even I am no match for him now. All of this is due to the prehistoric inflammation. If Mo Fenghua had not taken away the prehistoric inflammation in the Eldritch ruins, everything of his would have been mine. Xia Qijuan stared at Su Fong on the jade wall. In addition to surprise and shock, there was also a strong killing intent and intense jealousy in his eyes. This young master has already said that Mo Fenghua's strength is extraordinary. What does it look like now? Moreover, he has also mastered my clan's time, great Dao divine ability, the Arrow of Time. Its power is unparalleled, and it can pierce through metal and stone. I'm afraid that your powerful methods will not be able to stop him. Ji Xingyue thought back to the time when she was almost killed by Su Fong in the Kuan Su God sect. Her father, Jiang, was ravaged by Su Fong like he was cutting chives, and her eyes were filled with fear. Piercing Metal sneered domineeringly. Young Master Ji, don't praise Mo Fenghua's ambition. How can the methods that I have specially prepared for Mo Fenghua be limited to only these? As long as he steps onto the main island we are on, he will be trapped in the 7-terminal 7-slaughter array. Just as Piercing Metal was speaking, Su Fong was teleported to the huge island they were on through the spatial array. The moment he appeared, he was immediately trapped in an astonishingly powerful array. The surrounding natural aura of heaven and earth surged over and instantly sealed off the surrounding space. Then, sharp sword aura, rumbling thunder, monstrous flames, and all kinds of terrifying forces that were formed by nature came crashing down on Su Fong from all directions. It looked like Su Fong was about to be engulfed. Piercing Metal said proudly, "This is an array that I have specially prepared for Mo Fenghua. It is called the 7-terminal 7-slaughter array. The array is divided into 7 layers of restrictions. It operates the divine aura of heaven and earth. Even if a high-level god emperor enters the array, he will, before Piercing Metal could finish his smug words, a golden beam of light shot out from the array formation. The golden beam instantly pierced through the layers of array formations and restrictions as if they were only in name. The golden rainbow paused in the air. Then, after a flash of golden light, Su Fong's figure appeared. Piercing Metal was flabbergasted. He exclaimed in disbelief, "This is impossible. How is this possible?" Ji Xingyue was indeed a powerful Ji people. She immediately saw through the clues. This bastard has a powerful divine artifact that can break through arrays and restrictions. Your 7-terminal 7-slaughter array is useless against him. This bastard Mo Fenghua is getting more and more troublesome. Leave it to me. However, I have to say this first. If Mo Fenghua is suppressed, the divine artifact that can break through arrays and restrictions that he used just now will belong to me. Zhou Kuanga said domineeringly. Then he strode out of the palace and flew into the sky. Mo Fenghua, do you dare to fight with me, Zhou Kuanga? Zhou Kuanga shouted loudly. A tyrannical aura surged up and covered the surrounding 100 miles. Get lost. I don't want to kill anyone. Let piercing metal come out. Su Fang shouted and rushed towards the palace. You want to kill me, Zhou Kuanga? I would like to see what qualifications you have to be ranked as Kamiko Hoshino. Zhou Kuanga let out a wild roar, and the sound waves swept out. The empty space was like the surface of a lake swept by a gale, and ripples appeared on it. Su Fang was engulfed by the sound waves. His aura shattered layer by layer. Then his body was shaken to the point that it turned into tiny particles. His body was badly mutilated. Chapter 1969. Mo Fenghua. I'll make you the so-called #1 God's son. Kneel and lick my feet. Zhou Kuanga laughed wildly. He was wild and domineering. His laughter swept across the area. As the violent sound waves swept across the area, Zhou Kuanga activated a flying sword and slashed at Su Fang. Zhou Kuanga's sword intent carried a violent and domineering aura. Like a raging wind, it slashed at Su Fang again and again with a terrifying aura that could split the heavens and earth. The sword chi set off a series of buzzing sounds, forming a strange, vibrating force. It had a terrifying divine might that could make people fall into madness. Su Fang activated the silver streak sword, but it was quickly defeated by Zhou Kuanga's sword intent. His 7 apertures were also bleeding from the vibrating sound waves caused by the sword chi. His primordial spirit and consciousness were also affected. Under Zhou Kuanga's suppression, Su Fang could only rely on his heaven-prying eye to see what was going on. Then, he activated his flying divine artifact to dodge in advance. He looked battered and exhausted. Inside the main hall, Piercing Metal's face was full of shock. Zhou Kuanga's current strength is much stronger than during the Godson competition. He's even catching up to Song Jie. Ji Xingyue said with a smile, although his strength isn't ordinary, his brain isn't very good. Isn't he still being used by you as a tool? It would be even better if Zhou Kuanga killed Mo Fenghua. That way, all the punishment would fall on Zhou Kuanga. It wouldn't have anything to do with you. Piercing Metal. Young Master Ji must be joking. Zhou Kuanga is my fellow disciple. How could I do such a despicable thing? Piercing Metal chuckled. A trace of coldness seeped out from his deep eyes. Mo Fenghua, didn't you say in 1,000 Illusions Fog Domain that cultivators should walk their own great Tao? I have to thank you. It was because of your words that I was enlightened and comprehended my own great Tao. Today, I'll let you see my Berserk Sword Tao. Zhou Kuanga coldly shouted and launched an even fiercer attack at Su Fang. Waves of violent sword chi crisscrossed and sealed the surrounding area, forming a domineering world of sword intent. Everywhere Su Fang went, violent sword intent was everywhere. Even with the heaven-prying eye, it was hard to avoid the attacks. Mo Fenghua, kneel down and beg for mercy. I'll spare your life. If I defeat you, I will be the #1 God Son of Xinglan. Ha ha! Zhou Kuanga laughed wildly. To be able to comprehend one of the great Daos of the Sword Tao, you're not bad. However, in front of the supreme heavenly Tao of my Su Fang, your Tao can only be crushed. Su Fang snorted in his heart and used the giant diamond body transformation. Crackle. On Su Fang's divine body, streaks of mysterious golden lightning flashed. His body grew crazily, and in the blink of an eye, Su Fang turned into a 3-zhang-tall golden giant. Golden heavenly marks appeared on his skin, and his head turned golden. Then, the golden aura condensed into a golden robe around him. Giant diamond body. This was a supreme divine ability that Su Fang had cultivated through the fusion of his yang meridian with his physical body. Moreover, the giant diamond body transformation was one of the most powerful techniques in the Origin Sacred Mirror. Its power surpassed any spell or divine ability. At this time, Su Fang had already cultivated 59 yang meridian. The yang qi in his yang meridian was incomparably vast and majestic. Moreover, his perfect physical body had evolved to an astonishing height. When he used the giant diamond body transformation, its power was naturally incomparably powerful. With Su Fang's current strength, he could use the giant diamond body transformation to transform into a 100-jong-tall giant. However, that would consume a lot of energy. Moreover, Zhou Kuanga was not qualified to make Su Fang use the giant diamond body transformation to become a 3-jong-tall giant. Rustle, rustle. After forming the seal, a large number of golden marks suddenly appeared on Su Fang's golden robe and tightly stuck to his skin. Indestructible golden body. Zhou Kuanga's tyrannical sword intent landed on Su Fang's body. Golden light rippled on the golden robe, and some of the golden marks shattered. However, Su Fang was not injured at all. He had only consumed some yang qi. At this time, Su Fang was like a god of war that had descended. He was majestic, a supreme domineering aura that dared to fight the heavens, and the earth shattered the surrounding sword intent layer by layer. Zhou Kuanga's vibrating sword qi could not affect Su Fang at all. When the sound fell into the giant Su Fang's ears, it was like a mosquito humming. Mo Fenghua, where did you cultivate this evil technique from? Zhou Kuanga cried out in shock. It was hard to imagine that Su Fang, with his 9th heavenly layer celestial god cultivation, could actually use such a powerful divine ability. He naturally thought that Su Fang was using an evil cultivation method. Didn't you want me to kneel and lick your feet? Let's see who kneels now. Su Fang's sonorous voice reverberated out, making Zhou Kuanga tremble in fear. Clang! Su Fang's arms trembled. As he opened and closed them, a golden palm print that was 30 meters in size flew towards Zhou Kuanga. Zhou Kuanga's world of sword intent shattered with a loud bang. It was like a pile of sand piled up by a child. It was crushed to pieces by the hand of the heavens. With a terrifying aura that could suppress everything, it crushed towards Zhou Kuanga. Break for me! Zhou Kuanga's eyes flashed with madness and determination. He activated his flying sword and gathered all his strength to slash at the titan palm released by Su Fang. Boom! Zhou Kuanga's flying sword was swatted away like a child's toy. However, Su Fang's titan palm also shattered with a loud bang. Su Fang leapt up like a god of war. With a domineering and crushing aura, he landed 100 meters away from Zhou Kuanga. At this moment, Zhou Kuanga's arrogance was completely gone. His eyes were filled with fear, and he was about to use his movement technique to escape. Who would have thought that Su Fang's arm would stretch out like a bolt of lightning? With a flash of golden light, a huge palm grabbed Zhou Kuanga's neck and pulled him out as if he was grabbing a chicken. Mo Fenghua, I admit defeat. I admit that you are the #1 godson of Xinglan. Zhou Kuanga felt that if Su Fang clenched his hand, his body would turn into a pile of meat paste. Moreover, in his gigantified state, Su Fang released an intimidating aura that made Zhou Kuanga, a madman, tremble and almost collapse. I don't need you to admit that I am the #1 godson of Xinglan. Although you are arrogant, you are a brainless idiot. You don't even know that you're being used as a tool. Seeing that you don't have any killing intent towards me this time, I will spare your life this time. However, if there's a next time, I will not be merciful. Get lost. Su Fang threw Zhou Kuanga away and quickly entered his gigantified state. Zhou Kuanga's face was full of depression. He had completely lost the will to fight and left the island without saying a word. Although Su Fang did not use his full strength to use the gigantified diamond body, it still consumed a large amount of yang energy. After entering his gigantified state, his aura became much weaker. Piercing Stone flew through the air and shouted, Mo Fenghua, you killed by Shun first, and this time you broke in Alan Hao Training Hall to commit murder in public. Where's the sex law? Don't be arrogant. Piercing Stone, will fight you. Let's see how long you can be arrogant. What a despicable and shameless Piercing Stone. Su Fang's eyes suddenly shot out a cold, murderous aura. Piercing Stone captured Xianlingzi and lured Su Fang to Lan Hao Training Hall. He set up layers of ambushes in order to kill Su Fang. Now that he saw that Su Fang's strength was exhausted, Piercing Stone took action. At the same time, he made a false accusation to avoid the upper echelons of the star below God realm from investigating. Su Fong had seen many such despicable and shameless people in the past, but it was rare to see someone like Piercing Stone. After that, Bai Shun, who had walked out of the palace with piercing metal, said in a loud voice, "Bai Shun, record the entire process of me suppressing Mo Fenghua using a jade slip. I want the entire star below God realm to see how the so-called number one godchild of the star below God realm is struggling painfully under my piercing metal. Brother Piercing, it's best if you leave him alive and let me vent." Bai Shun replied coldly, his voice full of resentment. "As you wish." Piercing Stone laughed proudly. Piercing Stone looked at Su Fong and laughed coldly. "Mo Fenghua, I'll take your life while you're sick. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too arrogant. You even dared to offend the G people." Screech. Piercing Stone struck out a shocking seal. A white Xian Guang split from his palms and condensed into a 300-meter-long giant blade. It fiercely chopped down on Su Fong's head. Su Fong's eyebrows curled. Piercing Stone's swift and fierce slash enveloped the surrounding space. Moreover, this powerful strike contained the aura of the great Tao that could cut through all things. Even the natural laws of the world were shattered. Moreover, Su Fong had a feeling that no matter where he hid, he would not be able to escape the fate of being killed. Su Fong's eyes revealed a serious look. He activated the Yellow Springs reincarnation sword and formed a seal with his hands at the same time. He used the Four Seasons reincarnation seal, and a divine power of reincarnation revolved around him. Piercing Stone's terrifying attack that could tear through all things collided with Su Fong's divine power of reincarnation. The giant Xian Guang blade was pulled to the side by the divine power of reincarnation. Although it was not able to counterattack, it caused the attack to miss. Screech. Su Fong was hit by a sharp saber light, which slashed his right shoulder. The tough black lotus blood threads could only stop the saber light for a second. Then, the saber light cut off the black lotus blood threads, and his right arm fell off from his god body. Piercing Stone, you deserve to die. Ever since Su Fong ascended, he had been injured many times. However, this was the first time his arm had been severed like this. He grabbed his severed arm and pressed it against his right shoulder. Strands of vitality and black lotus blood threads surged out from his severed arm and fused with it. Very soon, his right arm was restored to its original state. You're actually able to nullify my most powerful attack. Mo Fenghua, you really are quite extraordinary. However, what's the point of putting up a desperate struggle? Piercing Stone sneered disdainfully. At this moment, Ji Xingyue's voice rang out, filled with hatred. Piercing Stone, I want you to sever his limbs until his body can no longer recover. Su Fong had severed the arm of Jiang, as if he was harvesting chives. This was the greatest humiliation that Jiang would never be able to wash away. Ji Xingyue had come to collect the debt for Jiang. Chapter 1970. What a clown! Su Fong inexplicably snorted and activated his fire cloud wings. Like a cloud of fire, he swept across the sky. Just as Piercing Metal was about to use his ability, his divine light suddenly changed and he retreated. Chi. Su Fong was still 1,000 zhang away when a sharp silver sword Chi suddenly shot out from behind Piercing Metal's head. As it turned out, Su Fong had used his great Tao of time ability. The image of Su Fong that Piercing Metal saw from 1,000 zhang away was an image that was left there a breath ago. And Su Fong had arrived behind Piercing Metal in this time and activated his silver Krite sword to deal a fatal blow. Clang! A shield-shaped golden divine artifact suddenly appeared around Piercing Metal. When Su Fong's silver Krite sword appeared, a golden Xian Guang erupted, forming a layer of protective divine might that tightly protected Piercing Metal. The silver Krite sword struck Piercing Metal's protective divine might and was sent flying with a crisp sound. This golden shield divine artifact was very unique. Without its owner activating it, it could be activated on its own and release the divine might of a magic treasure. Its defensive ability was also extremely powerful. It was clearly a natal divine artifact. Piercing metal smiled proudly. Mo Fenghua, since I've lured you here, how could I not have made meticulous preparations? Your great Tao of time ability might be powerful and impossible to defend against, but I have my natal divine artifact, piercing metal shield. In the face of danger, it can automatically protect its owner. Your great Tao of time ability is completely useless against me. Useless against you? Su Fang's voice came from the right. At some point, he had arrived beside piercing metal and had already finished forming a seal. Two mysterious auras, one black and one white, intertwined into an arrow, exuding a mysterious and powerful great Tao of time. It was silently released and bombarded piercing metal's golden Xianguang, exploding with a terrifying power that could annihilate space-time. At this moment, a power of time that could cause any life or matter to rapidly decline from the peak of life enveloped piercing metal. Even a life-bound divine artifact could not block the power of time. Piercing metal's divine body rapidly withered away, and his life force rapidly dissipated into nothingness. Arrow of Time. This is the great Tao of time ability, Arrow of Time. Amazing, truly amazing. Piercing metal and stone was also strong. He continued to circulate his divine essence. Metal energy gushed out of his body crazily, making him look like a piece of metal, which greatly slowed down the deterioration of his god body. How could Su Fang give him a chance? His primordial spirit power turned into waves of nothingness, bursting out from his pupils and violently attacking the divine aperture's defense. Mo Fenghua, you are only at the heavenly god realm. How can you possess such an astonishing primordial spirit's divine might? Only now did piercing metal begin to panic. The Dark Valley Origin Pearl was no longer very effective against divine emperors. Su Fang no longer had any use for this primordial spirit Tao artifact. However, Su Fang cultivated the undying soul scripture. His primordial spirit power was far stronger than piercing metals. The divine might of his primordial spirit posed a great threat to piercing metal. At the same time, Su Fang once again entered his life-bound state. Through the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, he merged the power of all his subordinates with his divine body. In his life-bound state, Su Fang exploded with the power of prehistoric inflammation. Then, like a ferocious beast, he charged forward, shattering piercing metal's protective divine might with one punch and landing on piercing metal's body. Boom! Piercing metal's divine body shattered like a piece of metal that had been struck by gravity. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared on his body. Burned by the domineering flames of prehistoric inflammation, his divine body also showed signs of melting. Piercing metal's mouth and divine body spat out blood. He fell to the ground, creating a deep pit in the ground in front of the palace. Su Fang descended slowly like a god of war, awe-inspiring and inviolable. He's an arrow at the end of its flight. Everyone attack. Kill him. Ji Xingyue shouted angrily. Xia Qijuan and a dozen or so other geniuses of the Star Billow God realm charged towards Su Fang. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang released one demon god after another. After the seal was removed, their bodies immediately burst into flames. They were in an astonishing state of combustion. These demon gods were none other than the ones Su Fang had suppressed with the power of prehistoric inflammation during the Godchild Tournament's finals. Their bodies were in a state of combustion from the inside out, and they were sealed inside Su Fang's body by Su Fang. These demon gods were one-time consumables. There were still a dozen or so left, and they were all released by Su Fang. Each demon god was comparable to a third sky of divine Emperor Realm expert. Moreover, they were under the control of the great desolate earth flame, burning their demon body, demon chi, and life force. They were not afraid of death. Even a fourth sky of heavenly god realm expert would have to avoid them. Xia Qijuan's heart was filled with hatred, so he was naturally the first to suffer. A burning demon god sent him flying with a single punch. The other geniuses of the Star Billow God realm had all passed the second stage of the trial peak, so they knew how powerful these demon gods were. They were scared out of their wits. They used their movement arts and fled as fast as they could. Ji Xingyue was the weakest, but his reaction wasn't slow. He activated a divine artifact that looked like a full moon and released a bright Xianguang to cover his body. A demon god attacked him fiercely, but it couldn't break through his defense in a short time. Mo Fenghua, I will kill you. The heavily injured Xia Qijuan's handsome face was twisted like an injured ferocious beast, looking extremely ferocious. There's also a fifth heaven divine Emperor Realm expert. That's your biggest trump card, isn't it? Why don't you let him come out? Su Fong had sensed the existence of that expert a long time ago, so he didn't use his body to unleash his strongest attack. Kill him for me. Xia Qijuan roared like a wild beast. A gray figure floated out of the palace and came to Xia Qijuan's side. Xia Qijuan seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw and shouted proudly and crazily, Mo Fenghua, you may be the #1 godchild of the Star Billow God realm, but so what? I am a member of the powerful Soulless. If I want you to die today, you won't live past tomorrow. Soulless? The assassin organization Soulless? Su Fong came to a sudden realization. He didn't understand why Soulless would send someone to kill him. It turned out that Xia Qijuan was behind it. Su Fong had guessed that Soulless might be related to Night Demon. So how could he be careless in front of a Soulless expert? His expression turned serious. He started to circulate the power of his body and divine energy. All of his power gathered in the Tao Palace of heaven and earth. At the same time, Su Fong used his great perfection ability and wrapped it around the expert. This person doesn't have the sound of a heartbeat. He is indeed an expert controlled by Night Demon. I didn't expect Night Demon to be so persistent. I can see traces of Night Demon even in the myriad worlds. This is a bit troublesome. Something is wrong. Buzz. A familiar aura caused the Destiny Tao text of the life shrinking technique to flash rapidly in Su Fong's divine aperture. This aura, to Su Fong, this aura couldn't be more familiar. However, it was hidden very deeply and very weak. It seemed to be in a state of deep sleep. If Su Fong didn't sense it with his great perfection ability, he wouldn't have sensed it. This destiny aura came from the same source as Su Fong. It was a part of him. How could Su Fong not be familiar with it? Second, primordial spirit. This expert from Soulless had the aura of a second primordial spirit hidden in the depths of his divine aperture. Su Fong was surprised and shocked. Then he was overjoyed. Even an idiot could guess that the person behind Soulless was a Night Demon, but a second primordial spirit. Unexpectedly, Su Fong would never have dreamed that he would meet the second primordial spirit here after being separated from him in the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Su Fong would never have thought that the second primordial spirit would use Night Demon Supreme Primordial Spirit to control experts and form a mysterious and powerful assassin organization. Soulless. No wonder Su Fong felt a little strange when he first heard the name. When he was in the small world of Zhao, he joined King Chu's secret assassin organization called Soulless. Ruin Yu, who once poisoned me with a withered red spider lily, is obviously also an expert controlled by the second primordial spirit with a black mark. The second primordial spirit is a primordial spirit consciousness residing in the black mark. It is usually in a state of deep sleep. Ruin Yu, who is controlled, acts according to his orders. His consciousness isn't devoured. That's why the second primordial spirit didn't discover me and almost killed me. Su Fong didn't know whether to laugh or cry when an assassin under the second primordial spirit almost killed him. If he really allowed Ruin Yu to succeed, that would really be the biggest joke in the world. Seeing Su Fong's expression, Xia Qijuan became even more proud. Mo Fenghua, you didn't expect this, did you? Although I, Xia Qijuan, was expelled from the Kuan Su Divine sect, I have the edge of a peerless genius. No matter where I go, I will be valued. The assassin organization Soulless that roams the Star Billows and Brahma Great Worlds also values me and trains me as a genius. If I join the powerful soulless, what is a mere Koan Su divine sect? Su Fong touched the tip of his nose and asked helplessly, "You've seen the boss of soulless. How can I see such a peerless figure? When I kill you, soulless will become famous in the entire star field. I will have made a great contribution to soulless. At that time, the boss will naturally summon me in person and may even recruit me as a core member of soulless." The more Xia Qijuan spoke, the more excited he became. His eyes shone brightly. "Unfortunately, you won't be able to see my future supreme achievements." Xia Qijuan smiled coldly and embarrassedly. Then he shouted domineeringly at the gray-robed man, "Kill him. Don't let him die too easily. I want to pull out his tendons and skin him alive." Whoosh, the gray-robed man didn't say a word. His figure flashed, and like a breeze, he appeared in front of Su Fong in an instant. Chapter 1971. Mo Fenghua, let's see how you die this time. Xia Qijuan looked pleased and cold as he watched the gray-robed man attack Su Fong. Su Fong's primordial spirit power exploded from his eyes and attacked the soulless expert's divine aperture ocean. Second primordial spirit, wake up. Then Su Fong sent out a thought. The figure of the soulless stopped abruptly, and his monstrous aura abruptly retracted. A black Xian Guang suddenly flashed in his eyes and condensed into a lifelike figure. It was another Su Fong, second primordial spirit. More accurately, it was the second primordial spirit's consciousness that resided in a black mark in the depths of this soulless expert's divine aperture. "Main body, how have you been?" The second primordial spirit's voice was cold and emotionless. After being separated for many years, not only had the second primordial spirit become stronger, it had also become colder. "Second primordial spirit, I've finally found you." Su Fong was very happy. It was a pleasant surprise that he had found his second primordial spirit. "Main body, I'm also very surprised. I've spent a lot of effort to find you," the second primordial spirit replied coldly. After a while, it turned out that after he was separated from his second primordial spirit and the three brothers of the Liao family, he was swept to the turbid cloud realm by the energy tide. The second primordial spirit took over the body of an expert and then took the three brothers of the Liao family to leave the turbid cloud realm through the realm crossing Stargate. In order to find Su Fong's main body, the second primordial spirit used its powerful primordial spirit power and Night Demon's supreme primordial spirit ability to control many experts to search for the main body's whereabouts. After many years, the second primordial spirit still couldn't find any news about the main body. However, it had a vague connection with the main body and knew that the main body hadn't died. Therefore, the second primordial spirit organized the experts under its control and formed the Soulless Assassin Organization. It infiltrated the Brahma Heaven God realm and the surrounding great realms, even the Star Billow God realm. It used various forces to search for information about Su Fong. The three brothers of the Liao family were originally bandits. Initially, they planned to return to their old profession. However, the second primordial spirit's temperament was cold and callous. It was more suitable for them to form an assassin force. In the end, his true self was not found, and the assassin organization, Soulless, had made a name for itself in the Brahma Heaven God realm, the Star Billow God realm, and other great realms. The second primordial spirit had the ability to travel through the void and any barriers or formations. Coupled with the primordial spirit divine ability to control the consciousness of a deity, it was a piece of cake for it to complete the assassination mission. After tens of thousands of years, Soulless had become the number one assassin force in the Brahma Heaven God realm, the Star Billow God realm, and the surrounding great realms. According to the second primordial spirit, the members of Soulless had infiltrated the major forces. There were more than 1,000 core members and more than 30,000 killers. There were more than a dozen fifth sky of the godly Emperor realm cultivators under the second primordial spirit's control. Who would have thought that my second primordial spirit would be able to form such a powerful force after becoming the number one divine child of Xinglan Star? What a surprise! Su Fong was shocked after learning about Soulless power. True self. This Xia Qijuan's talent is not bad. I originally planned to let him participate in the Kamiko Hoshino competition and cultivate him carefully after becoming Kamiko Hoshino. Then, I would take over his body. With my talent, I would have definitely participated in the Godchild competition. I would have continued to participate in the Godchild competition as Xia Qijuan. This way, it would have been easier to find my true self. But who would have thought that Xia Qijuan would be eliminated by my true self in the preliminaries? That's why I issued the order to assassinate my true self. True self? What should we do with Xia Qijuan next? What should they do with Xia Qijuan? The second primordial spirit's plan was good, but Su Fang's true self and second primordial spirit had met, so he no longer needed this chess piece. Moreover, this Xia Qijuan was ambitious and ruthless. Why would Su Fang let him live? Su Fang looked at Xia Qijuan and said coldly, "Kill him." Mo Fenghua, are you scared out of your wits? Xia Qijuan was startled, then he laughed out loud. Ji Xingyue was surrounded by more than a dozen burning demon gods. The protective divine power released by the moon-shaped divine artifact was about to shatter. He anxiously roared at Xia Qijuan. Why are you still talking so much nonsense? Kill him. Then, Ji Xingyue secretly sent a voice transmission to Xia Qijuan. As long as you kill this bastard, I will immediately fulfill my promise and bring you to the Ji people. With your talent, you will definitely be put in an important position in the Ji people. Compared to joining the soulless sect and becoming a shady assassin, your future will be 100 times brighter. Thank you for your help, young Master Ji. Xia Qijuan was overjoyed. Then he said to the gray-robed man in a voice filled with killing intent, "This person is boss's target. What are you hesitating for? Kill him." Whoosh, the gray-robed man suddenly turned around and created a violent whirlwind that swept towards Xia Qijuan. You dare to disobey boss's orders? Xia Qijuan's eyes instantly changed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't know that the primordial spirit consciousness of the boss he was talking about was in the gray-robed man's mind. He also didn't know that the soulless sex boss was Su Fang's second primordial spirit. The violent whirlwind, with a terrifying divine power that could distort and tear the void, enveloped Xia Qijuan. Xia Qijuan's defenses were shattered layer by layer. Seeing that he was about to die, he was shocked and angry. How dare you betray the soulless sect? If you dare to kill me, boss will definitely not let you go. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape the soulless sect's pursuit. Idiot! The second primordial spirit's cold voice came from the gray-robed man's mouth. The whirlwind suddenly shrank, and a terrifying divine power twisted Xia Qijuan's body into a pile of meat paste. Swoosh! Xia Qijuan's yang spirit rushed out of the whirlwind. The lifelike Xia Qijuan's face was filled with fear, and he was about to escape into the void. At this time, the gray-robed man's eyes shot out black xianguang, and two black xianguang intertwined, forming a powerful primordial spirit whirlpool. It forcibly sucked Xia Qijuan's primordial spirit out of the yang spirit, and finally, it was sucked into the gray-robed man's divine aperture, becoming nutrients for the second primordial spirit. After losing his primordial spirit, Xia Qijuan's yang spirit instantly collapsed, and Xia Qijuan's divine soul was completely destroyed. The sudden turn of events left Ji Xingyue dumbstruck. Boom! 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 Under the crazy attacks of the burning demon god, Ji Xingyue's divine artifact defense shattered. Seeing that he was about to follow in Xia Qijuan's footsteps, Ji Xingyue panicked and threatened Su Fang loudly. Mo Fenghua, I am the young master of the Ji people. How dare you kill me? Who are you? How dare you pretend to be the young master of the Ji people? Su Fang acted as if he didn't know Ji Xingyue, but his eyes were full of sarcasm and cold killing intent. The Ji people are a powerful divine race, yet you dare to pretend to be the young master of the Ji people? Death is your punishment. Su Fang coldly shouted, and more than 10 burning demon gods swarmed forward. Ji Xingyue only had time to let out a scream of despair before he was torn to pieces by the demon gods, and then turned into ashes in the burning demon flames. Ji clan, this is nothing more than a small amount of interest from you. Sooner or later, I will kill my way into the Ji people and seek justice for my master and Mo Shansan. I will make you pay 10 times the price. Su Fong used to be a mortal cultivator, and after going through hardships from a small world to the myriad worlds, he had already learned how to be cruel and merciless. He had never shown mercy to his enemies. Then, Su Fong waved his hand and put the gray-robed man and the burning demon god into his inner world. He was about to go find Xianlingzi. Mo Fenghua, you are crazy. You actually killed Ji Xingyue. He is the young master of the Ji people. You actually dared to kill him. Moreover, you secretly colluded with the soulless assassin. Are you not afraid of being punished by the upper echelons of the Star Billow God realm? Piercing Metal, who had been heavily injured by Su Fong, struggled out of the deep pit on the ground. He was shocked and furious when he saw that Su Fong had killed Ji Xingyue. I almost forgot about you, the main culprit. Su Fong activated the flying divine artifact, and in a flash, he arrived in front of Piercing Metal. This is the Lan Hao Training Hall. Do you dare to kill me? Piercing Metal finally realized his situation. He had witnessed Su Fong's ruthlessness, even daring to kill Ji Xingyue, so he naturally wouldn't let him go. He was so scared that his entire body trembled. Su Fong said coldly, "You capture my family and set up a trap to kill me. Now that you have fallen into my hands, why can't I kill you? Even if you kill me, you can forget about saving Xianlingzi." Piercing Metal seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. "Even without you, I can still find my grandfather." Su Fong smiled indifferently, then activated the life-shrinking technique to sense Xianlingzi's aura. The next moment, buzz, 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 suddenly, some Dao runes from destiny flashed mysteriously in his mind. Su Fong's divine light instant transformation. After entering the Lan Hao Training Hall, Su Fong had once sensed Xianlingzi's aura deep underground in the palace behind him. At this moment, deep underground, Xianlingzi's destiny aura had disappeared, but there was an extremely familiar destiny aura. Shinjia Tianjun. The Dao runes from destiny condensed into a phantom in the depths of his mind. It was Shinjia Tianjun. Su Fong, I knew that the Ji People's juniors couldn't kill you. Shinjia Tianjun's majestic voice came from deep underground. Su Fong, you really surprised me. In less than 100,000 years, you could actually grow to such an astonishing level. If you were given another 100 million years, even I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure rushed into the sky from the palace and floated in midair, looking down. A supreme ruler's divine aura enveloped Su Fong. At this moment, although Shinjia Tianjun was no longer as terrifying as the great world's heavenly Tao, the divine aura he emitted was still extremely shocking. It was even more terrifying than the Star Billow Realm Lord. Where did you come from? Why did you appear in the Lan Hao Training Hall? Who is Su Fong? Piercing Metal obviously didn't expect such an expert to appear. He was also shocked and stunned by how Shinjia Tianjun addressed Su Fong. Su Fong's heart was in turmoil. Shinjia, where's my grandfather now? Grandfather? Su Fong, I didn't expect you to really think of yourself as that good-for-nothing Mo Fenghua. How laughable. Chapter 1972. Shinjia Tianjun said, Su Fong, Xianlingzi has been sent away by me with supreme power. His life is not in danger for the time being. You can rest assured that as long as you listen to my orders, I will not harm the life of an ant like Xianlingzi. What do you want? Su Fong asked in a deep voice. Su Fong secretly peeled off a yang spirit and entered the mysterious space of the origin sacred mirror. He released a thought and yang qi into the depths of the space. Shitty, you're in big trouble again, aren't you? Shu Wanjin's voice swept over along with the cold air. Su Fong briefly explained Shinjia Tianjun's matter. Sanskrit expert, it's really big trouble. Don't worry, you already have 59 yang meridians. If you and I work together to activate the origin sacred mirror, It won't be difficult to kill this Sanskrit expert, but you have to be careful. Once the secret of the origin sacred mirror is exposed, you will attract endless trouble. Su Fang said helplessly, I have no other choice. With the powerful and mysterious origin sacred mirror as his trump card, Su Fang's heart calmed down a lot. Xinjia Tianjun said, most of your current achievements come from that supreme godhead. As long as you peel off the godhead, not only will I let Xianlingzi go, I can even let you live. Xinjia, you really haven't given up on my godhead. Su Fang snorted coldly. I'm not an idiot. If I peel off the godhead and give it to you, will you really let my grandfather and me go? Xinjia Tianjun looked like he had victory in his hands. Su Fang, I know your character quite well. Although you are ruthless and extremely ambitious, you are a person who values relationships. How can you watch Xianlingzi die in my hands? Although I, Su Fang, value relationships, I'm definitely not stupid to let others control my fate. Xinjia, you can kill my grandfather, but one day I will kill you and avenge my grandfather, including Sanskrit. If I have enough power, I will wipe out the entire Sanskrit from existence. Su Fang let out a clanging sound. At this moment, he revealed the lofty and domineering aura of a great world's overlord. His previous aloof and elegant playboy aura was completely gone. Piercing Metal understood a few things from the conversation between the two. He was immediately shocked, and his mind buzzed. Su Fang's domineering aura made Piercing Metal tremble. He couldn't believe that Su Fang had such a domineering side to him. The peerless overlord of the macro world does indeed have some backbone. Unfortunately, in my eyes, the so-called backbone is nothing more than the pathetic struggle of the weak. Since you don't want to leave, don't blame me for being ruthless. Xinjia Tianjun's body suddenly emitted a sacred golden light. Then, he spat out the word Jia at Su Fang. A divine might brimming with the will of the heavenly Tao descended around Su Fang with a world-suppressing aura. Boom, boom, boom. Xinjia Tianjun's voice seemed to contain a demonic nature that resonated with the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao around Su Fang seemed to suddenly stop moving. The laws shattered. Su Fang, Piercing Metal, and even the entire world seemed to be on the verge of shattering under this terrifying suppressive power. Xinjia Tianjun controlled the heavenly Tao of a great world. In a great world, he was an existence comparable to the heavenly Tao. Sanskrit's divine ability could draw upon the heavenly Tao's power. Thus, Xinjia Tianjun still possessed the supreme ability to control the heavenly Tao in the universe. Although it couldn't be compared to a great world, it was still incomparably shocking. In the face of such divine might, Su Fang and Piercing Metal were like tiny ants. Be careful. This Xinjia Tianjun is incomparably powerful. Although this is only a clone, it's definitely not something you can fight against. Hurry up and activate your ancient mirror. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to use it. Law warned Su Fang with a thunderous shout. If I activate the Hunyuan sacred mirror, I must succeed in one strike. Otherwise, if Xinjia Tianjun escapes, even if I escape this time, there will be even greater trouble. For the time being, I won't use the Hunyuan sacred mirror. Let's fight it out first. Su Fang's eyes were filled with determination. The world in his body was operating with a loud rumble. Piercing Metal was already in a seriously injured state. In the face of Xinjia Tianjun's terrifying divine might, he was only able to resist for a moment before his entire body shattered layer by layer. Even his young spirit couldn't escape. Xinjia, this is only a clone of yours that has descended. If you think you can suppress me so easily, aren't you being a little too arrogant? Su Fang poured all the energy and vitality in his body into the Tao Palace of heaven and earth. Together with the World Tree and the Yang Meridian, he transformed into a world that covered an area of 100 zhang. In an instant, an astonishing scene akin to the beginning of the world appeared. The six forces of nature, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning, howled as they operated. They collided and transformed, forming a phenomenon of the heavenly Tao. The world that Su Fong had created with his own body was not like those experts of the God realm, who had cultivated a certain great Tao to a certain level and formed a single world with their divine abode. Instead, it was a universe that encompassed all the laws of the universe and had its own unique way of operating. It even contained a fortune of the heavenly Tao. Although Su Fong's world was still in its infancy, the height of the world gave Su Fong a sliver of the ability to resist the heavenly Tao. Boom, boom, boom. Xinjia Tianjuan's heavenly Tao power clashed with the world inside Su Fong's body. The terrifying impact caused the array world of Lan Hao Dojo to collapse and shatter the barrier. The island that Su Fong was on instantly fell apart. The entire Lan Hao Dojo's secret realm completely collapsed. Seawater surged out of the shattered barrier and wantonly flooded the secret realm inside the Star Billow God realm. Under the pressure of the heavenly Tao power, Su Fong's world shattered layer by layer and rapidly shrank as if the heavenly Tao was collapsing. The heavenly Tao power that Xinjia Tianjun had activated was also being worn down layer by layer. Before it could destroy Su Fong's world, it was completely worn down. Su Fong returned to his physical state and couldn't help but stagger. His face was pale and his aura was chaotic. Without hesitation, he poured a bottle of spirit liquid diluted by the creation Saint Pill into his mouth and frantically recovered the energy he had just consumed. You were actually able to resolve my attack? Su Fong, I didn't think that the small world inside your body would be cultivated to such a level. Extraordinary. As expected of extraordinary. Even if you were suppressed by me, you should be proud of it. Unfortunately, Su Fong, accept your fate. How can you resist my will? Xinjia Tianjun was surprised at first, but then he laughed disdainfully. Suddenly, the Star Billow Realm Lord's angry roar came from the void. Which expert dares to act so wantonly in my Star Billow God realm? The entire Lan Hao Dojo was shattered and seawater poured into the secret realm inside the Star Billow God realm. How could such a huge commotion not alarm the Star Billow Realm Lord? This was why Su Fong didn't hesitate to use his strongest attack to fight Xinjia Tianjun. As long as the Star Billow Realm Lord was alarmed, he would have a chance to escape even if he didn't use the Origin Sacred Mirror. Unfortunately, Zhu Yanjun and Qi Xiao Shanjun had left the Star Billow God realm not long after the Kamiko Hoshino competition. Otherwise, with the two of them around, how could Xinjia Tianjun be so arrogant? The Star Billow Realm Lord's figure appeared from the void. Su Fong, no one can save you today. Heaven and Earth Millstone crush all things. Xinjia Tianjun raised his eyebrows and suddenly made a shocking hand seal. A golden xianguang and a silver xianguang quickly condensed into a giant whirlpool of 300 meters. It looked like two millstones. A supreme divine ability released by the power of heaven and earth could crush all things. Heaven and Earth Millstone. Boom, boom, boom. As the millstone spun rapidly, it released a terrifying divine might that seemed to crush heaven and earth into powder. The surrounding mountains, forests, earth, and everything else shattered under this crushing divine might. Xinjia Tianjun actually drew upon the power of heaven and earth and used it as a millstone to crush Su Fong. Xinjia Tianjun, it's actually you. Stop. The Star Billow Realm Lord recognized Xinjia Tianjun and shouted coldly. However, his eyes were filled with fear and he hesitated when he attacked. Of course, the Star Billow Realm Lord couldn't be blamed for being timid. He was the Realm Lord of a great realm and a supreme existence in the Star Billow God realm. But he was nothing in front of a colossus like Sanskrit. Moreover, Xinjia Tianjun represented Sanskrit and controlled the heavenly power of a great realm. His status in Sanskrit was quite high. So how could the Star Billow Realm Lord not be afraid? Although Su Fong was a peerless genius, offending a Sanskrit expert for him and bringing destruction to the Star Billow God realm was clearly not worth it to the Star Billow Realm Lord. Looks like I can't count on the Star Billow Realm Lord. Su Fong saw the Star Billow Realm Lord's fear and hesitation and knew that his plan was ruined. He could only rely on himself. Xinjia Tianjun released a terrifying divine might that enveloped Su Fong and was about to crush Su Fong into powder. Just as Su Fong was about to take out the Origin's sacred mirror, a sacred and dignified golden light suddenly rushed out of the void above Su Fong's head. It flowed down like a waterfall and quickly condensed into a 30-meter true golden roll. The true golden roll released a dazzling golden halo that carried a mysterious and ancient aura. It enveloped Su Fong's body and formed a protective divine might. Xinjia Tianjuan's terrifying attack, which was like the might of the heavens, landed on the golden halo released by the true golden roll. It only caused the halo to tremble a few times before dissipating into nothingness. The aura of the primal chaos power. This is the chaos golden roll. Luo and Shu Wanjin, who is inside the Origin's sacred mirror, exclaimed at the same time. The chaos golden roll. Xinjia Tianjuan's divine light changed instantly as he looked at the true golden roll that had appeared out of thin air in disbelief. The chaos golden roll. Su Fong was also very shocked. He had always thought that the so-called chaos golden roll was just a list of peerless geniuses collected by the peerless experts of the universe. He never thought that the chaos golden roll would be such an existence that appeared at this critical moment and resolved his crisis. Chapter 1973. Junior Sanskrit. This boy is on the Hunyuan Golden List. No expert is allowed to attack him. Otherwise, you will be punished by all the supreme experts in the heavens. Why aren't you leaving? Sheng Wuji's majestic voice came from the Hunyuan Golden List. Hunyuan Golden List? I know about the Hunyuan Golden List, but I didn't expect that Su Fong was also qualified to be on the Hunyuan Golden List. Since Su Fong is on the Hunyuan Golden List, I won't attack him anymore. Xinjia Tianjun cupped his fists and bowed to Sheng Wuji. No matter how arrogant he was, he did not dare to go against Sheng Wuji. Moreover, Sheng Wuji's appearance at this time represented the supreme experts in the heavens. Even the entire Sanskrit could not be strong enough to fight against all the experts in the heavens. Xinjia, let go of my grandfather, Xianlingzi. Su Fong thundered. Xianlingzi will be a guest in Sanskrit. If you have the courage and strength, go directly to Sanskrit and bring him back, Xinjia Tianjun said coldly. Su Fong's eyes spewed fire. Xinjia, you are a peerless expert who controls the power of the heavenly way in the great world. How can your methods be so despicable? Xinjia Tianjun sneered disdainfully. Why should the strong care about such trifles when they act? Su Fong looked at the Hunyuan Golden List, cupped his fists, and bowed. Senior, please uphold justice for me. Who knew that Sheng Wuji would reply indifferently? Last time, when I took you in the Hunyuan Golden List, I merged my aura into the Hunyuan Golden List. In a moment of life and death, I can protect you. However, being on the Hunyuan Golden List does not mean that you can rest easy from now on. The Hunyuan Golden List will only appear to protect you when you are attacked by experts who are far stronger than you. In other situations, you have to rely on yourself to resolve everything. Otherwise, you will lose the role of training a genius. Your grandfather has been taken away. This matter is not within the protection of the Hunyuan Golden List, so I can't help you. You have to solve it yourself. Sheng Wuji's words were like a bucket of ice water poured on Su Fong's head, causing him to feel cold all over. Infinite Life's projection looked at Lord of Heaven Xinjia. A surge of murderous intent burst out and shrouded Lord of Heaven Xinjia. Junior from the Brahma clan, your methods have made this old man dislike you. Although there was an agreement when many supreme experts joined hands to create the Primal Chaos Golden List, this old man still has to warn you. If you dare to touch a single strand of that kid's head, this old man and Mo Tiangong's true body will descend and kill you. Xinjia Tianjun said, Sheng Wuji's Wuji. Sheng Wuji's divine aura suddenly sank, and Xinjia Tianjuan's life aura rapidly faded. He instantly turned from a dignified middle-aged man to an old man in his 60s or 70s. A peerless genius who can be listed on the Hunyuan Golden List will be a peerless expert in the future. You actually offended such a future expert and used such a despicable method. I didn't expect Sanskrit to have produced such a stupid person. Sheng Wuji shouted domineeringly, and then his shadow disappeared into the Hunyuan Golden List. After a burst of golden light, the Hunyuan Golden List also turned into golden light and dissipated into nothingness. Su Fong, Xinjia Tianjun had been punished by Sheng Wuji, and his clone had lost 1 billion years of life. The loss could be said to be heavy, so how could he not fly into a rage out of humiliation? You are now listed on the Hunyuan Golden List, so I can't touch you for the time being. However, don't think that the Hunyuan Golden List can protect you forever. When you are defeated in the star domain and the divine children of the various worlds, you will be eliminated from the Hunyuan Golden List. When your genius halo is gone, let's see who will protect you. When that time comes, I will take everything I need from you. I will imprison Xianlingzi in Sanskrit. If you have the ability, you can come to Sanskrit at any time. As an expert of Sanskrit, Xinjia Tianjun more or less knew the inside story of the Hunyuan Golden List. After repeated eliminations, there would only be one genius left on the Hunyuan Golden List, and the others were just foils. In his opinion, although Su Fong's talent was extraordinary, it was completely impossible for him to win among the countless geniuses in the various worlds and stay until the end of the Hunyuan Golden List. As long as Su Fong was eliminated from the Hunyuan Golden List, he would lose the protection of a peerless expert. At that time, wouldn't he be at his mercy? Xinjia Tianjun controlled the power of the great world's heavenly way and was restricted by the will of the heavenly way. He did not dare to lay his hands on Su Fong's father and relatives, but in the various worlds, he was not subject to these restrictions. As long as he captured Xianlingzi, he was not afraid that Su Fong would not take the bait. His plan could not be said to be not good. Xinjia, I, Su Fong, will remember what you have done. You must remember, if you suppress me, I will kill you. If Sanskrit suppresses me, I will exterminate the Sanskrit. If the heavens want to suppress me, I will go against the heavens. Su Fong's voice was loud, and a proud and unyielding aura arose spontaneously, shocking the Starwave Realm Lord and the many higher-ups of the Starwave God Realm who had rushed over. Shameless boasting. Xinjia Tianjun snorted at Su Fong's words. He looked at the Starwave Realm Lord and said coldly, Xinglan, what advice does Xinjia Tianjun have for me? The Starwave Realm Lord replied in a low voice, his expression ugly. After Heavenly Monarch Xinjia destroyed one of his secret realms, the Starwave Realm Lord naturally harbored resentment towards Heavenly Monarch Xinjia. If it wasn't for his fear of Heavenly Monarch Xinjia's identity, he would have already attacked him. Xinjia Tianjun said majestically, the number 1 godchild of the Starwave God Realm is not from the Starwave God Realm, but an ascender from the lower realms. Isn't this laughable? The Starwave God Realm should choose a new number 1 godchild. What? Mo Fenghua is actually an ascender. The Starwave Realm Lord deduced some clues from the conversation between Su Fong and Xinjia Tianjun. Now that Xinjia Tianjun had confirmed it himself, he was still shocked and surprised. The other higher-ups of the Starwave God Realm were in an uproar. This child's name is Su Fong, and he was originally an ascender from a higher realm. He stole one of my supreme treasures in the past, and I have been chasing him all this time. I never thought that he would actually possess the divine body of a god from the Starwave God Realm, and even become the number 1 godchild of the Starwave God Realm. If the Starwave God Realm continues to take him in, you will become my enemy, and Sanskrit's enemy. Xinglan, think carefully, don't bring disaster to yourself. Xinjia Tianjun threatened without hiding anything. Then, he shot a cold glance at Su Fong, and his figure disappeared into the void. Mo Fenghua, Su Fong. The Starwave Realm Lord flew towards Su Fong and looked at Su Fong with a complicated gaze. All the upper echelons of the Star Billow Divine World, as well as the geniuses of the Star Billow Divine World who had rushed over, including by Holan, were surprised and shocked when they found out that Su Fong was not Mo Fenghua from the Kuan Su God World, but the Su Fong who had ascended from the outside world. No wonder Mo Fenghua was able to transform from a good-for-nothing trash into a peerless genius, and no one in the entire Starwave God realm could compare to him. So he was possessed by an Ascender. An Ascender's strength is far stronger than a god born in the God realm, and their talent is also incomparably outstanding. That's why they were able to ascend from the lower realm to the God realm. This Su Fong Ascender from the lower realm being able to become the #1 godchild of the Starwave God realm isn't anything strange. An Ascender from the lower realm, born lowly and lowly, what qualifications does he have to become the #1 godchild of the Starwave God realm? This person pretended to be a cultivator from Kuin Su's God realm and participated in the Kimiko Hoshino Summit competition. Suppress him. An Ascender from the lower realm actually offended a big shot from Sanskrit. He really doesn't know what's good for him and is extremely arrogant. If we don't suppress him, the Starwave God realm will definitely be implicated. While everyone was discussing spiritedly, Su Fong's facial muscles and bones squirmed and returned to his original appearance. His aura also changed greatly. After returning to his original appearance, Su Fong immediately felt relaxed. From today onwards, Mo Fenghua was completely dead, and Su Fong was the Ascender who replaced him. That's right, I am indeed an Ascender from a higher realm. My name is Su Fong. Su Fong's bright eyes swept across the gods of the Starwave God realm. The demeanor of a peerless overlord of a higher realm was fully displayed at this moment. In order to avoid Shinitianjuan's pursuit, I escaped from the Transformation Supreme realm to the Turbid Cloud realm. Coincidentally, Mo Fenghua was killed, so I coincidentally possessed Mo Fenghua and entered Kuin Su's divine sect with his appearance and identity. That's right, I'm indeed born lowly and lowly. I don't have any background or backing. I can only rely on my own talent and ability to climb from the bottom to the peak and finally become the #1 godchild of the Starwave God realm. So what if I am born lowly? Let me ask you, if you were me, who could do what I did? Su Fong's voice was filled with pride and confidence, and it caused the self-proclaimed geniuses of Kimiko Hoshino to reveal looks of shame. I'm not as good as him. Bai Holan sighed in his heart. He was completely convinced by Su Fong. How many of these so-called geniuses didn't rely on their families and forces to nurture them with countless resources? If it was anyone else, including himself, Su Fong wouldn't have achieved what he had today. Since the Starwave God realm can't accept me, I'll leave. Su Fong cupped his fist at the Starwave Realm Lord and said sincerely, "Thank you for your high regard, Realm Lord. Also, if you have the chance, please pass on a message to Master Kuin Su that I, Su Fong, will repay the kindness of Kuin Su's divine sect tenfold one day." The Starwave Realm Lord wanted to ask him to stay, but when he thought of Shinjak Tianjun in Sanskrit, he had no choice but to give up on the idea. Just as Su Fong was about to leave, the Starwave Realm Lord suddenly said, "Wait." Su Fong asked in surprise, "Does the Realm Lord have something to say?" Although the Starwave God realm can't accept you, your identity as Kimiko Hoshino was decided by Lord Juyanjun and Lord Crimson Firmament. Therefore, you can still use the identity of Kimiko Hoshino to participate in the Star Region's Godchild competition several thousand years from now. The Starwave Realm Lord took out a storage ring and flew it to Su Fong. Then, the Star Billow Realm Lord transmitted his primordial spirit. "I know that you are definitely not a fish in a pond. However, the Brahmin race is too powerful for you to contend against. You only have the capital and opportunity to contend against the divine children. Accept this small token of my appreciation. I hope that you can shine in the Star Region's Godchild competition, and even in the competition between the peerless geniuses of all the realms." "Thank you." Su Fong bowed to the Starwave Realm Lord. Then he activated the sky-splitting rainbow shuttle. Carried by a golden rainbow, he instantly passed through the layers of barriers and arrived in the void outside. From now on, Su Fong is free to roam the world.